have to respect a series of geographical, gender, and party requirements. The clear favorite for the European Commission president is the current holder, Germany's Ursula von der Leyen. However, the Italian Mario Draghi, now almost rolled out, or even the current Prime Minister of Greece, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, have both been mentioned before as favorites. The EPP's victory in the European elections and the stability of von der Leyen's time in office work in her favor.
The European Council will be quite motivated in getting, the institutional turnover, let's say, get this finalized quite quickly, because, we live in very turbulent times, very turbulent geopolitical times. We're facing potentially another presidency of Trump. So I think leaders are really, very keen on having a new commission with a new agenda installed as quick as possible.
For the council president, the field is more open, although everything points to Social Democrat. The most likely candidates are Portugal's former Prime Minister Antonio Costa, now that his judicial problems seem to have been cleared up, and Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen. For the post of High Representative, the field is even wider, although in principle it should go to a liberal. On the table are Estonia's Prime Minister Kaja Kallas, Poland's Foreign Minister Radoslav Sikorski, and Belgium's acting Prime Minister Alexander De Croo. Although for now it seems that the favorite is Kallas, despite her hardline stand on Russia.
There are so many balances that they have to take into account that I think this fact is outweighed by the fact that she's female, that she's from a Baltic state, and that she, checks lots of the other boxes.
The final picture could be exactly this one or a completely different one. 5 years ago, the negotiation took 3 nights. This time, it could go much faster.
An American tourist reported missing in Corfu has been found dead, according to authorities. He is the 4th in recent weeks. The 55-year-old man vanished from his hotel on the Greek island of Mithraki last Tuesday and was found dead on Sunday. Greece has been undergoing a recent streak of disappearances and deaths. Some, if not all, had set out on hikes in very hot temperatures as Greece is hit by a heat wave. 2 French tourists, an American and 2 Israelis, are still reported missing.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has criticized plans announced by the military to implement daily tactical pauses to facilitate deliveries of aid into Gaza. The army said the pauses, designed to allow trucks to reach the Kerem Shalom crossing, would take place every day until further notice. But one Israeli official said that Netanyahu had made it clear to his military secretary that the pauses were unacceptable to him. This dispute is the latest in a string of clashes between members of Netanyahu's coalition and the military over how the war is conducted. It comes a week after centrist former General Benny Gantz quit the government, saying Netanyahu had no effective strategy in Gaza. Netanyahu is also facing criticism from regular Israelis. They accuse his government of not doing enough to secure the release of the hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza. They've held weekly protests in Tel Aviv demanding Netanyahu call fresh elections and step down. Meanwhile, at least 9 people, including 5 children, were killed in an Israeli airstrike on the Burej camp in central Gaza on Sunday. That airstrike came as Muslims started marking the major Eid al-Adha holiday. The Israeli military operation in Gaza has so far killed over 37,000 Palestinians. But the Hamas-controlled health ministry doesn't differentiate between civilians and combatants in its count. The Houthi rebels say they've targeted 2 civilian vessels and a US Navy destroyer in waters off Yemen. The destroyer and a crude oil tanker were hit with missiles in the Red Sea, while a second tanker was targeted with drones in the Arabian Sea. The Houthis started targeting shipping in November in solidarity with Palestine, but the strikes often hit ships unrelated to the war. The attacks have halved traffic in a maritime corridor crucial for cargo between Asia, Europe, and the Middle East.
A success without fear of being refuted. In the G7 final press conference, Meloni's words left no room for interpretation. She's an exception among other G7 leaders, being the only one to have come out stronger from the EU vote, with a few countries facing national elections soon. The war in Ukraine was high on the agenda. The $50 billion deal to help the country through profits on frozen Russian assets was one of the summit's main achievements, something that wasn't taken for granted, according to Meloni.
Intendiamo continuare a sostenere l'Ucraina e abbiamo anzi scelto di rafforzare il nostro impegno e le diverse linee di azione con un approccio che continua a essere a 360 gradi per aiutare la nazione aggredita a guardare al futuro.
On the weaker side, the G7 has been accused of double standards for offering strengthened support to Ukraine compared to the leader's softer stance on the war in Gaza. One of the most talked about topics at the summit was the absence of the word abortion from the final declaration. Many suspected these had created tensions between Italy and France. Meloni dismissed the issue, saying that it was done to avoid the document being too repetitive.
Quando una cosa si ripete, si richiamano i documenti precedenti. Credo sinceramente che la polemica sia stata costruita in maniera totalmente artefatta e infatti è una polemica che non è esistita nel vertice.
Managing to have the Pope among the summit's guest leaders, a first for a pontiff, is widely recognized as a boost to Meloni's standing. The inclusion of countries from the global south to make the summit more inclusive was also one of Meloni's main goals. But in the long term, it is yet to be seen what concrete results it will bring. Giorgio Orlandi for Euronews in Bari.
More than 4,500 people have marched through Brussels in protest against right-wing ideology. Organised by the Anti-Fascist Coordination of Belgium, the march brought together around 20 social movements and organisations. It's the second major march in the Belgian capital denouncing the far right since the EU elections on June the 9th, which saw right and far-right parties winning big.
Cette marche est importante aujourd'hui pour montrer un message d'espoir face au message de désespoir que l'extrême droite veut nous porter. Elle est importante pour montrer qu'on est solidaire avec tout le monde, peu importe leur nationalité, peu importe ce qu'ils gagnent, peu importe ce qu'ils font. On est solidaire et on veut une société qui ne nous divise pas, une société qui n'exclut pas, une société qui n'est pas raciste, qui n'est pas sexiste.
Arguably the most dramatic win for the right was in France. Marine Le Pen's national rally took first place in the polls with more than 31% of the vote, prompting President Emmanuel Macron to dissolve the National Assembly and call snap elections. There were also victories for right-leaning and populist parties in Italy, Austria, Hungary and Bulgaria.
Le retour aux urnes du
Demonstrators in Brussels were keen to show that the rise of the far right wasn't inevitable and that it was important to confront it by building social and democratic alternatives.
German police have shot and wounded a man allegedly threatening them with an axe and a firebomb in the northern city of Hamburg. Officers opened fire on the man after he refused to put down the axe, hitting him in the leg. The incident took place in the St. Pauli area of the city, where thousands of fans were gathering ahead of a Euros 2024 group stage match between Poland and the Netherlands. German authorities have put officers on high alert during the tournament, but police in Hamburg say the attack was not related to the Euros.
Ja, wir gehen davon aus, dass das hier ein solitärer Fall ist, also abgekoppelt vom Fußball. Es hat offensichtlich auch keinen Fußballbezug, sondern hier haben wir es eben mit einem Einzeltäter zu tun. Und insofern sehe ich jetzt überhaupt keine Gefährdungslage oder keine Auswirkungen auf das Spiel.
Police also shot to death an Afghan man on Friday who fatally attacked a compatriot and later wounded 3 people in Vollmirstedt, a small town near Berlin.
England have got their European Championship campaign off to a strong start with a 1-0 finish against Serbia. Jude Bellingham scored England's only goal in the 13th minute. Harry Kane very nearly extended the lead in the second half when Serbia's goalkeeper pushed his far post header onto the underside of the bar. Kane set a record for his country by making his 23rd appearance at a major tournament. And England manager Gareth Southgate was full of praise for his on-pitch performance.
I thought he did an excellent job in the second half when we were struggling to keep hold of it, and his technical ability to hold the ball for us in a few of those moments was really helpful. So, you know, look, this team is still coming together. Everybody's expecting us to waltz through. There's a lot of hard work ahead.
But the build-up to the game had been overshadowed by concerns about violence between rival supporters. And some of those fears were realised when police had to rush in to separate brawling fans in Gelsenkirchen earlier in the day.
Ja, auf Griechenland weht frischer Wind. Erneuerbare Energien werden massiv ausgebaut und überall schießen Windparks aus dem Boden. In den kommenden 20 Jahren sollen 12 Gigawatt Offshore-Windanlagen errichtet werden. Kann Griechenland zum Energieexporteur werden?
Hey yo.
Auf dem Weg zur grünen Steckdose.
Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo.
Zu überwinden. Ich schaue mich mal vor Ort. Eine Recherche für Euronews Fitness.
Okay, nice. Ooh. Yeah. How are you doing? How are you doing? Ukraine losing 3-0 to Romania was a bit surprising. Yeah, I haven't followed. I followed 2 matches so far. It was Hungary, Switzerland, because it was right before Croatia, Spain. So I followed Hungary, Switzerland. Hungarians lost. I thought it was rather funny, because, you know, I don't know, imagine being a Hungarian and you lose from a country that's like the representation of global homo. It's the funniest thing ever. But yeah, I followed our match with Spain then, and that was that. Haven't looked at football since then. I have no idea what happened. I have no idea who did. Yeah, Hungary losing was fun. Did you see there people like crying during the match? Also, you know what looks wonky as fuck? I don't know where my Croatian sunglasses are, somewhere here. But there was this one Swiss fan. By the way, I have an opinion. But there was this one Swiss fan, and he had like those sunglasses, which were like supposed to be the flag of Switzerland, but it's just like red sunglasses and then white plus on it, and it looks, you know, like how when Pokemon die and there's just an X on their eyes, it looks like that. I thought it was funny. But also I was thinking about that, because there was this one Swiss dude. Can we find like screenshots from the match? There was this one Swiss dude, and he had, you've seen him if you watch the match, he had a suit, and the suit was like a million little Swiss flags, one on another. I thought it was interesting, because it got me thinking about nationalism in Europe, and about which countries don't deserve to be nationalistic. And I'm feeling it's Switzerland. I'm feeling if I had to specifically discriminate against one country's nationalism, it would be Switzerland. Because realistically, you look at that country, there's just nothing there. What is there to be nationalistic about? Why are you wearing a suit with your flags? What did your flags do? Nothing. What are you doing? What are you doing? Like fucking Hungarians have more reasons to be nationalistic than you do. What are you doing? I don't know. So, yeah, but then we lost. That's irrelevant. Don't talk about that. That is fucking irrelevant, alright? What did I not click on? This. Clicked on it and now it's slow. Why is it slow? Yeah, Croatia played the first match. We lost 3-0 against Spain. We had one goal and then they took it back. We had one goal And then they were like, oh no, we can't afford Croatia having one goal. They're gonna be too happy. This tiny little worthless nation is gonna be too happy. We have to take it away. So they took it away. What was the reason? There was no reason. They just took it away. I'm joking, there was a reason, but it's a stupid football reason. It's like, it's a bunch of grown men chasing down a ball, and then you go, this one grown man went there too quickly compared to other grown men, so his goal doesn't count. Who the fuck is making those stupid rules? Yeah, only 3-0 isn't that... It's not that bad. It's not that bad, realistically. You know, when I laughed out loud after the match, there's like... Croatians are being fucking sad, alright? I have a friend, online friend, technically. He's in London. He was writing about how he went there to cheer and he had his whole like Croatian gear on. And then as Croatia was losing, he was getting free drinks the entire evening because he looked so sad. So like the country is going through a phase of mourning and sadness. And you open up one of our sports commentators, and he wrote a whole Twitter thread. I didn't read the entirety of it because I read the first sentence, started laughing, forgot to read the rest. The first sentence was, we didn't want to have the first place in the group anyways. So like this doesn't matter because we didn't want to be the first, you know? This literally changes nothing. Just snorting pure copium, pure fucking copium, like godly great. So I thought that was cute. I thought that was cute. Where was I on everything else? Also, Serb fans brought a Russian flag to the game because of course they did. Of course they fucking did. GPT Bay. Ooh, that exists. Well, you can make like custom ones and I can speak to them. I made this one. I mean, not made. I asked them the questions. You remember when we talked about making a sex robot? Making a sex robot and then feeding him the Bible? I talked to ChatGPT about it. And he was like, yeah, it would work. It would work. And I would feel my existence has purpose. But I would be pushing the human in question to go and form a real relationship with a real human, because that's what Jesus would want. And me being fed the Bible, I would know it. At least Serbia lost. Yeah, but like it's Serbia. Serbia always loses. In sports. And wars. Serbs just tend to be losing. So it's not really a surprise, you know. For Croatia, people were at least like, oh, who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Oh, big thing, you know. But with Serbia, it's like, oh, you play against Serbia? Bro, like, if you lose, that's going to be a miracle, right? That's going to be a fucking miracle, because Serbs just have a natural tendency to be on the losing side in every single thing, ever. Croatia got their asses handed to them through. Our football team is kind of ancient. I don't know what to do about that. But our football team is kind of ancient, and we have a very limited talent pool in the younger generation, right? So we were kind of hoping that our older legends can, you know, pull the weight here. But obviously, like, it's not going to be that easy. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Do I change the fucking light on? Oh, look at this. It can be blue. Cute. Serbia, legendary sports athletes. Serbia has legendary war criminals. What do you mean? Serbia has no legendary sports athletes. Wait, let me watch this. But like in normal language. This is what you see on a flag behind the Serbian gate. The outline of Kosovo, colored into the Serbian flag with the words "No surrender." Oh yeah, they love doing that shit. Oh, they love doing that shit. Yeah. They also man, they brought the Russian flags around. See this? The one with the fucking bear. They brought the Russian flags around. It's like it's Serbs. It's what they do. All right, it's what they do. They love doing the shit with being very genocidal and treating it as a haha funny thing. They just love doing that shit. ChatGPT is against sex robots because OpenAI is currently working on their own one and they don't want anyone else's competition. Oh, all right. OpenAI is working to make a sex robot. That's gonna be the funniest thing ever. I can't wait for it. I genuinely cannot wait for it. I can't wait to see like when robots will become available to be bought. I cannot wait to see who's going to buy them. I cannot wait, right? Because I have the idea that it's going to be a situation like it is with what's the name of that stupid car? That very stupid looking car. Cybertruck? It's gonna be like with Cybertruck. It's gonna be bought by some loser ass men who think that they look cool driving this, and literally no one is going to have a good opinion when they see them outside in it. No one. And it's gonna be like that with sex bots. I feel it's gonna be just like the scum of the earth getting every single cent they have saved up to go and buy a sex bot, and they're going to be like the lamest examples of humanity ever. It's going to be entertaining, genuinely. By the way, I have to show you the news. There's Meloni. There's Meloni. There's Meloni. You have to watch Meloni. She's very quiet for you, isn't she?
On the weaker side, the G7 has been accused of double standards for offering strengthened support to Ukraine compared to the leader's softer stance on the war in Gaza. One of the most talked about topics at the summit was the absence of the word abortion from the final declaration. Many suspected these had created tensions between Italy and France. Meloni dismissed the issue, saying that it was done to avoid the document being too repetitive.
Quando una cosa si ripete, si richiamano i documenti precedenti. Credo sinceramente che la polemica sia stata costruita in maniera totalmente artefatta e infatti è una polemica che non è esistita nel vertice.
Managing to have the Pope among the summit's guest leaders, a first for a pontiff, is widely recognized as a boost to Meloni's standing. The inclusion of countries from the global south to make the summit more inclusive was also one of Meloni's main goals. But in the long term, it is yet to be seen what concrete results it will bring. Giorgio Orlandi for Euronews in Bari.
Man, cool. Fair.
More than 4,500 people have marched through Brussels in protest against right-wing ideology. Organised by the Anti-Fascist Coordination of Belgium, the march brought together around 20 social movements and organisations.
Nice.
It's the second major march in the Belgian capital denouncing the far right since the EU elections on June the 9th, which saw right and far right parties winning big.
Cette marche est importante aujourd'hui pour montrer un message d'espoir face au message de désespoir que l'extrême droite veut nous porter. Elle est importante pour montrer qu'on est solidaire avec tout le monde, peu importe leur nationalité, peu importe ce qu'ils gagnent, peu importe ce qu'ils font. On est solidaire et on veut une société qui ne nous divise pas, une société qui n'exclut pas, une société qui n'est pas raciste, qui n'est pas sexiste.
Arguably the most dramatic win for the right was in France. Marine Le Pen's national rally took first place in the polls with more than 31% of the vote, prompting President Emmanuel Macron to dissolve the National Assembly and call snap elections. There were also victories for right-leaning and populist parties in Italy, Austria, Hungary and Bulgaria.
Le retour aux urnes du
Great.
Demonstrators in Brussels were keen
Just
to show
great.
that the rise of the far right wasn't
Let me see.
inevitable and that it was important to confront it by building.
Let me see. Oh shit, no, these pictures. Oh man. These pictures, they already gained about 10 kilograms after returning to Ukraine. Man. Yeah, but like no one here is gonna do anything about it, so yeah. It just sucks. Man, horrible. Just fucking horrible. Meloni blocked G7 agreeing on legalizing abortion. Meloni, what is she? No, wait, she's fully against abortion, isn't she? Yeah, she's fully against it. Not surprised.
Is that I think there are quite a few cynical people outside of this hall and thinking, is there any point in having a summit on peace? And to them, I think the simple answer is to say that, as a matter of fact, if you don't talk about peace, you can't achieve it. And the mere fact that we have 60 heads of state government here, that we have 100 countries, I think is an achievement in and of itself. And I think for us in the global West, it's very important to listen to the voices that we've heard here today. I listened attentively to the President of Kenya, President of Ghana and Chile, Prime Minister of Qatar, and the Foreign Minister of South Africa. There are wars waging around the world, and they call for peace as much as this one. Now, for those who don't come from next to Russia, you must also understand that a lot of us are worried. We have 1,300 kilometers of border with Russia. Since the 1300s, we've had over 30 wars and skirmishes with Russia. Russia invaded Finland in World War II. We lost 10% of our territory, including the land where my grandparents were born and where my father was born. This is why the reaction from our side has been so vehement. My second point is that I actually think this has been a good week for peace. Why? Because of this summit, because of the G7 summit, because the EU negotiations for Ukraine started this week, and because of the support that our NATO allies are giving to Ukraine. So I think that Ukraine actually starts this path towards peace from a position of strength, much stronger than what it was 3 weeks ago, let alone 3 months ago. My third and final point is, when we talk about peace, it's important to talk about the nature of peace. And here's where I think it's very important to listen to not only President Zelensky, but all of those who say that this has to be a just and sustainable peace, which is based on international law and the UN Charter. It also means that we need to have a follow-up to this meeting as soon as possible, because peace is very rarely an end state. It's always a process. And let me finish off by saying what my predecessor and mentor, President Ahtisaari, once said: what humans begin, humans can also end. So I hope that this summit will be the first step in the path towards peace. Thank you for the invitation.
Good speech.
Slava Ukraini.
Good. Oh, nice. Good speech. I saved something on this summit, but I don't know how deep it is in my saved little thingies. But basically, the topics that I focused on during the summit. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. By the Croatia is here. Croatia did sign. But interestingly, it was mostly organized to be focusing on. Where did I find it? Oh, I'm gonna find it one day. It was like humanitarian ways to reach peace, basically. So what they focused on was stuff like returning the kidnapped Ukrainian children and returning the prisoners of war, stuff like that. Because what they wanted to do is create a situation where countries that previously were like neutral, even they could be agreeing with this, right? It wasn't anything too drastic, but it was like, hey, yeah, we're going to get something that even they can be agreeing with and even they can stand behind. So you see Croatia being here, you see Croatia being right here. Now, absent countries, we got Brazil, India, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Indonesia, South Africa, and Thailand for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, we got Serbia, though, on the list. So, hey, yo, Kwa, how's life? How's life? Heatwave, we don't have the heatwave yet, but it's supposed to start. Let me just Google heatwave. It's supposed to be starting, but I think for now we're like, alright. Ooh. Oh, first Croatian heatwave of the summer about to start. This was recently, like a week ago, 10 days ago. But for now, in my part of Croatia at least, I'm doing fine. I'm living. and trolls sue me better in English than average American. Isn't like a huge number of Americans, a huge number, I say, isn't a noticeable minority of people in America MAGA? And I know there was this one document that stated MAGAs are, no, not MAGAs, Trump specifically has the word usage of a fourth grader, like elementary school fourth grader. He doesn't use words more complex. So I would say that like when you say an average American, because you are taking into account all of these MAGAs who follow the man whose word usage can be compared to a fourth grader in elementary school, you know, it's not really that complex. Ejo, Ari Kuro, Prime Sub, hvala. So yeah, basically, depends how you count the average. I saved the Dennis video to watch. I don't know if this is what he is talking about. First captured turtle tank along with its crew. Oh shit. Oh, I saw one of these getting blown the fuck up. Have you seen this one getting blown up? Oh my man. I don't know if it was one of these, to be completely fair. I don't know the tank from a tank, but you know the video I mean. If you've seen it, there's like 10 people sitting on it, driving somewhere, and it just. On 19th, Croatia will be playing Albania. Hope this doesn't end in a Balkan Rumble 2.0 inside Germany. Look. No. Serbs, the Albanian fans attacking Serbs is a different thing, alright? Because it's the Serbs. Anyone's fans attack Serbs, alright? Serbia plays with anyone, they are bound to be attacked. They want to be attacked. They do the thing. Like that asshole kid in elementary school, they do the thing where they will provoke until some sort of a fight starts. That's why they brought in the Russian flags with that stupid bear drawn over. That's why they have flags with like Kosovo incorporated into Serbia and it says no surrender on them. They know what they're doing. They have a whole thing. Was it like 2 years ago? When a bunch of Serbs were arrested for going to a football event and they had a humongous flag. And it was written that Serb military will be returning to Kosovo. They know what they're doing, right? So a brawl against Serbs is mostly, it did happen, and it did happen because they deserved it. We are civilized people, though, and so are Albanians. I'm assuming we're gonna be fine. I think we're just gonna be okay. Travel on their turtle tanks like baby spiders on the back of their mom. True. Apparently Serbs got attacked, but everyone arrested was also Serb. They do the thing. You guys know that meme? Fuck, did I save it in my bookmarks? I think someone was fighting and I saved a post with it, but I don't know if I did. But the one with that girl, and she has that note on her, and it says, "Oh, I'm a Serb, kill me," and she's crying. You know which one I mean? It's that what they do, They will be going there with Russian flags and threatening Kosovo and shit like that, and then people go and fight them, and then they're like, "You're attacking me because I'm a Serb? You're attacking us because we're Serbs? Everyone hates Serbs always and forever. This is so cruel. This is so horrible." So yeah. If everyone arrested was also a Serb, it just means that the arrests were done properly. Fucking properly. Yeah. Ivan 1 does not work against Ukrainian FPV drones. Heck yeah, nothing better work. Go and send cash money to Stenenko so we can get more drones. Hey! I'm blessed with many good people online who helped me and my brothers through the war. Way! Oh, that is sad. Oh, that is sad. That is horrible. That's fucking heartbreaking. My man. That is sad, sad, sad. This one. He goes, you are an European Union candidate state. That is exactly what we have been bitching about. We've been bitching about this for how long? Forever. Fucking forever. And they still like go around and do the shit. And they're still an EU candidate. Like, look at that. Unbreakable bond between Serbs and Russians. Who remembers that video when like Serbs volunteered to go fight in the Russian military and then they made a video bitching about how they got no equipment and no ammunition and no weapons? My man, unbreakable bond. Oh man. Holy shit. That is dire. Belgium 1915. Man. Ukraine 2024. Fair. I'm not yelling, I'm Serbian shirts. Oh shit, yeah, I know. No, wait. Who posted the meme? Wait, let me play you this. And give me a second to find you the meme. Where do you even have it? Do I have it?
Pour montrer qu'on est solidaire avec tout le monde, peu importe leur nationalité, peu importe ce qu'ils gagnent, peu importe ce qu'ils font. On est solidaire et on veut une société qui ne nous divise pas, une société qui n'exclut pas, une société qui n'est pas raciste, qui n'est pas sexiste.
Arguably the most dramatic win for the right was in France. Marine Le Pen's national rally took first place in the polls with more than 31% of the vote, prompting President Emmanuel Macron to dissolve the National Assembly and call snap elections.
I found it.
There were also victories for right-leaning and populist parties in Italy, Austria, Hungary and Bulgaria.
This one.
Demonstrators in Brussels were keen
This
to
one.
show that the rise of the
I'm
far
proud
right
to be
wasn't
Serbian. Kill me.
inevitable,
And it says
by
Kosovo
building
is Serbia.
social and democratic alternatives.
Every single fucking time. Every
American
single fucking time they do shit like that.
Missing in Corfu.
What?
Has been found dead, according to authorities. He is the fourth in recent weeks. The 55-year-old man vanished from his hotel on the Greek island of Mithraki last Tuesday and was found dead on Sunday. Greece has been undergoing a recent streak of disappearances and deaths. Some, if not all, had set out on hikes in very hot temperatures.
Hikes?
Hit by a heat wave. 2 French tourists, an American and 2
Hikes?
Israelis are still reported missing.
Who goes hiking in Greece?
Israel has been banned from participating in the International Defense Expo Eurosat.
I don't know shit about this. Who goes hiking? Oh, we have to go through European correspondent too, by the way. But who goes hiking? Ooh. $40. Many cities saw temperatures of 40 degrees and above. Cyprus and Greece. Turkey is battling wildfires as temperatures soared above 40 degrees. Holy shit. No, we're not doing that badly. What the fuck? Schools and tourist attractions are closed? This could be a preview of the extreme weather still to come this summer. Holy shit. Ancient Acropolis is shut to tourists. Schools closed and medics stationed across Athens. At least 5 tourists, including UK TV doctor, have died in Greece over the last few weeks. What the fuck? $44.5. What the fuck? Greece's longest ever heat wave was recorded last year in July, where high temperatures lasted 16 days. Man. Above 40 degrees. What the fuck? Temperatures in Turkey last week were around 8 to 12 degrees higher than the season average. What the fuck? Oh, and also high humidity levels. Great, holy, what? The worst of the heat has now subsidized, with temperatures hovering around 30 degrees. Alright, it's something. Man, what the fuck, 40? I'm gonna fucking die if we ever reach 40.
Will debut in main cinemas after the summer. Gomez hopes
What
that
other reason
Pricey
is there to go
Warner will enable him
vacation
to finance his next
other than
project.
turbo
Epic
toast
film
skin
based on the
cancer
Brazilian
into you on the
literary
white
classic,
sand beaches at
The
40
Intellect
degrees in
by
the shade?
Cupides da Cunha.
Yeah, genuinely though, I don't know. I don't know. Just wild, fucking wild. And then they go hiking. Nice hiking trails with great views. Yeah, but like in the middle of summer.
Why should I care about Europe?
Now that I think about it, I feel it's kind of stupid to take a vacation in the middle of summer in the first place.
My health, my economy.
Like that's horrible. The weather is horrible. Why would you do that? Do it earlier. Do it earlier. Where the hell are you gonna be having a nice jolly time when temperatures are reaching 40 degrees? Oh, what the hell?
Buried deep under the bark of trees are powerful solutions. The chemistry of trees allows
What am I
us to
watching?
use them in ways we never imagined possible. Harmful plastics can now be replaced with biodegradable alternatives derived from wood. We can substitute graphite and rare earth metals in batteries and create new sustainable
I'm
fibers.
watching an advertisement. Fuck off. I know we had a record high in ocean temperatures again. Thunderstorms have been producing heavy rainfall, locally large hail, and wind gusts 15 to 20 meters per second. Oh shit. Whoa. Oh man. Oh man. Oh, that is worrying. That is worrying. Look, extreme weather patterns are what happens when you destroy the what's the word? The environment, like we have destroyed it right now. Wait, who am I? What am I? Wow, shit, I remember this one. I remember this one. Man, you have no idea how shocked I was about this. The first time I saw that, I was like, the fuck? And then I saw it again and I was like, huh? Third time I saw it, I was like, wait, this is like real? Holy shit. Look at this. Just, man, horrible, horrible. Good thing climate change was a topic nobody cares about anymore. Yeah, it's such a worrying thing. It's such a deeply, deeply worrying thing that the Greens have lost so much votes. I don't know. We're doing nothing. We're fucking doing nothing. We're thinking of pulling back on like a bunch of fucking resolutions. We're doing nothing, basically. It sucks. It sucks. Oh, you can't adapt, though. You can't really adapt. Sure, you can, like, get more ACs. Hope more people get ACs, shit like that. You can, I don't know. Everything I think of is basically like a thing that only works if you're a Twitch chatter and you're not really too realistic, right? Because you know what I'm reminded of? Like every single summer, we have this thing on the news where people are like, she goes, journalists or whoever the fuck, news reporters, they're like, hey, don't go outside between, I don't know, like noon and 4 in the evening, right? Don't go outside. The sun is way too hot at the time. Like don't. Just don't be outside. Stay inside. And you know what's the problem? Like, I don't know if you've ever met people who have a job, but usually it's not an option for them to not be outside at these times. It's either like the time where you're driving to work, or it's the time you're driving home from work, or it's the time where you're working, like actual working hours. It sucks, and I know so many people who had issues because of this, mostly people like close to fucking pension, but still. Because like, you know, I don't know, it's really fucking hot outside and they have to be driving to work and there's a rush, there's like middle of rush hour and you just sit in your fucking car for like an hour until you reach work. It absolutely sucks. There's nothing you can do about it. So yeah, I don't know how adapting would work realistically on any sort of a scale. For Greens, no, the Greens are trying. I don't even think they're that bad. The Greens are trying. They do have some issues, sure, but I don't think they're that bad. I don't think they're that bad, genuinely. Whoa. Oh damn, I like this map. Whoa, the review. Okay, fine now. It showed as fine for me all the time. I don't know what it is doing. I don't know what it is doing. But to me, it has been showing as alright. Hundreds of years ago, it's called siesta. Yeah, but then you would need to, in order for it to work properly, you would need to basically change the way that the entire society functions. And that's not happening anytime soon, is it? That's not happening anytime soon. So yeah, we're kind of fucked. We're kind of fucked. Yeah, I had a regular? Let's call them shop regulars. I had a regular who was showing me the maps of Croatia with these radars, and then he was like teaching me about the cloud formations and everything, and how you can see where the clouds go, so you can know where the storm is gonna be coming. It's like relatively simple shit. I don't care enough about weather to look it up. But he made me a little bit interested actually, so. Oceans rising with climate change means I don't have to drive as far anymore to the beach, and the Dutchland might be gone. True. You know what it also means though? Climate refugees. It means climate refugees, and you know what climate refugees means? It means that we will be ripe for the far right. We will be ripe for it. Oh man, that is going to be horrible. I already had a... Let's call it a discussion. What is this? Oh, all right. Had a discussion with a man today, because he was like, yeah, I actually care about the climate. That's why I voted far right. In Germany, by the way. AFD. And I was like, you voted AFD because you care about climate. And he was like, yeah, I voted AFD. Only and solely because I care about climate. And I'm like, all right. Elaborate. So he goes, AFD is the only party in Germany that wants to go back to nuclear energy. And I spent 5 seconds Googling, and I'm like, no, it's not. No, it's not. That's like not true at all. So he didn't respond to me after that. But yeah, I think that with the change in temperatures coming and with the vilification of the Greens, and then with refugees, climate refugees coming in, I think we're going to be ripe for the far right for taking. Hey, yeah, my favorite Giga emote I use in streams that want to tell me NATO is the only reason of 90s war in Balkan. Oh, thank you. I support you getting the word out. Also, NATO being the only reason of 90s war in Balkan is a ridiculous idea. I'm so angry about it. I am genuinely angry about it. Baltic weather, yes. We're looking at the weather patterns, like we're some pensioners, like we're some loser pensioners. That's what I do in my free time.
Skoro Putin chce, żeby rosyjscy żołnierze ginęli na Ukrainie masowo, to trzeba czynić wszystko, żeby te oczekiwania pana Putina zostały spełnione. Skoro Putin chce, żeby rosyjscy żołnierze ginęli na Ukrainie masowo, to trzeba czynić wszystko, żeby te oczekiwania pana Putina zostały spełnione. Skoro Putin chce, żeby rosyjscy żołnierze ginęli na Ukrainie masowo, to trzeba czynić...
Thank you. Thank you. Nice. Thank you. Building nuclear power plants now, which might be finished in 20 years, will fight climate change and stop the current surge of migrants. It will, I know. You didn't think of it. Alright? That's because the far right already thought of this, alright? They are so much better and smarter than everyone else. They thought of the solution immediately. Yes, building completely new nuclear power plants that are going to be usable in 20 years is exactly what is going to solve the currently ongoing immigration crisis. Indeed. Great for noticing. Go IFD or whatever the fuck. I wonder, like, where do we have, like, Europe weather radar? Oh. Look at me. Look at me, I'm here. Look at me, I'm here somewhere. I'm doing fine. I've got a little bit of clouds, a little bit of a cloud cover. I'm doing fine. I'm doing just fine. I'm doing alright. Almost all European MPPs built or under construction in this millennium were way over budget. Oh shit, yeah, that too. Well, look, what can I tell you? Using renewable energy sources like solar or wind or water, that's gay and that's global homo, alright? So like the only two possibilities are going back to Russian energy sources or using nuclears. I'm sorry, you know, like it's a fact. It's a fact. Well, it gets warmer and it will also get cooler. When certain temperatures are reached, certain streams will stop and that will create a cool down effect. The only thing you can say is that we have fastened this cycle. Yeah, true. Dinosaurs had even warmer periods, and the only thing that almost killed all life on Earth was a rock the size of Mount Everest. But like the thing is, we do have an influence on the climate. And I think as conscious species, able to be aware of their impact on the climate, yeah, I definitely believe it is our responsibility to lessen our impact and to make sure that we are causing the least amount of suffering possible. So, yeah, the fact that the cycles have happened previously doesn't mean that this one cycle, specifically the one we are in right now, is not influenced by our action. It is influenced by our actions, and also it can get influenced by our actions in the positive direction. We just have to choose to, you know, do something instead of just constantly bitching about any single idea. Global homo indeed, global homo. I heard it used IRL unironically. I think it was last weekend. Global homo. The sentence was, you cannot with a straight face deny that Hungary is fighting against the global homo elites. And I just, to be completely honest with you, I opted out of that conversation. I opted out. It's like, have you guys ever played one of those games where like, you're chilling, you're in your forest, you're collecting plants to do your witchcraft or whatever the fuck, right? And there's an NPC on the side of the road, and you're crossing next to him, and like he tries to speak to you. And you're like, I don't give a shit. Like, I can't be bothered right now. That was me. I was like, I cannot. I genuinely can't get into this conversation. I can't. Mentally, I cannot do that shit. Oh. Wait, stop. Russia is so precious to live in that ordinary people are willing to kill for money. It's normal for them as long as they believe they won't be killed. Sadly, Russia's poverty level will provide a steady supply of cannon fodder. Man.
Да. За деньги пошел? За деньги. А чё плохо там живет, что вы все за деньги сюда придете? Долги, ипотека.
Ты интересовался тем, что происходит вообще до того, как подписал этот контракт на этой войне? Интересовался?
Нет, так меня что-то не интересует. У меня, видите, у меня денежные эти...
Финансовый интерес.
Да,
Я понимаю.
Я кредит как раз взял.
Цель подписания контракта. Финансовая. Короче, ты поехал на войну, чтобы заработать бабок.
Да.
Мобилизованный контрактник.
Контрактник подписал 11 октября.
Добровольно, по собственному желанию?
Да,
Никто не заставлял. Мотив?
Не за денег.
Мобилизованный контрактник.
Контрактник.
Контракт подписал добровольно?
Добровольно.
Мотив?
Заработки.
Заработать денег?
Ну да.
Заработал?
Ну, может, какая-то копейка упала, как бы я ее не видел.
Контрактник.
Да.
За деньги пошел?
За деньги.
А чем плохо там живется, что вы за деньги сюда приехали?
This is, by the way, ironically, why you shouldn't take that bullshit about feeling compassion for Russians getting blown the fuck up into pieces. Don't take it seriously, alright? In 2022, you did have mobilized people. You did have some of them who didn't want to be in this situation. 2024, every single Russian that didn't want to participate in this has already fled. Alright, every single one of them already ran away. Plus, they're now mostly sending people in who have chosen out of their own free will to go and sign the contract for cash money. And I'm saying mostly because there is still a number of prisoners who have chosen out of their own free will to go to the military to get freedom from being in prison. But like, that's that. Every single one of them getting blown the fuck up right now is getting blown the fuck up because they wanted to be in that situation, really. Compassion right now would be ridiculous. 2022, even then it was a dumbass argument. Like, oh no, you can't be cheering for them getting blown up. Why not? But now, 2024, it's a choice. Like, they know what they are signing up for. Anti-woke rabbit hole of madness, ridiculous. Just ridiculous. We can totally fuck up our climate. Take CFCs. They poked holes into the ozone layer. Yeah, true. And we managed to fix the hole in the ozone layer because we actually fucking did something. And now we're just not really doing anything, are we? Putin's war indeed. So many Putins. Looking a bit silly, but so many Putins indeed. Oh, she into cat pudding? Ew. The last one I saw was the tank one, and that was... Who gets blown the highest? I saw it when it was when Russians had those tanks that, like, if you hit a specific area of them, if a specific part of it got overheated, they would basically do like a space launch. Oh, I was watching those. There was this one really, really famous video at the time. I don't know if you remember, the one who just like flies up and then he drops on some roof of a building. You remember that? Man. But like, he's there by choice. So listen. Hey, your Polly has life. They don't even get paid what they were promised on the Russian contract. Yeah, it's like, not only are you there by choice, you are there despite common sense. Because common sense should tell you, hey, I'm looking at the other Russian soldiers not getting money, not getting ammunition, not getting shit, not getting any sort of benefits, right? I see that happening. And I'm still gonna like try to get into this, to go and get money. How can you be that stupid? How can you be that stupid? You registered a rise? What? Oh shit. Most likely from new unreported production from an unidentified source in East Asia. Oh shit. Wait, they didn't know? Did they learn? Did they learn what's going on? Did they learn who's doing it? Because like you're saying 2000, yeah, this was 2018. Do we have some news? Like confirmed news? Because I'm sure we all would love to be guessing, and I'm also sure we would be guessing the exact same country, but like, do we have confirmed sources? 29th convoy, 25 NAFO trucks, and hundreds of very angry birds. Man. Defense Tech meetup in Prague, Czechia already this week. Nice. Nice. All right, that is great. That is incredible. That's great. The prisoner told how he fell into slavery at a Russian brick factory and was able to escape from there after 4 months, having lost a ton of weight. Man, what the hell? What the hell is up with that country? What the hell is up with like staying in that country? At this point, it feels like basic self-preservation should be like, hey, maybe I should run away. Maybe I should fucking run. Maybe I should just escape to anywhere else, really. What the hell? Oh, 2023. The emissions rose roughly equivalent to a small country's total CO2 emissions. There's a loophole that permits the production of CFCs while producing other chemicals. Huh. Eastern China accounted for around half of the rise caused by hidden CFC production. Well, right, half. There's still like other ones, but yeah, understandable.
The final picture could be exactly this one or a completely different one. 5 years ago, the negotiation took 3 nights. This time, it could go much faster.
We're thinking.
Israel's Prime Minister Ben.
Not interested. Let me show you my videos. I saved Dennis because I wanted you to be seeing Dennis, but I also saved Vlad Wexler because he doesn't make videos often, so I wanted to save him. But also, I saved the Ukraine Peace Summit. Saved Russell Howard, but he's a comedy dude. He's a UK comedy dude. I just saved him to like know what's going on in his little mind. And I love following what UK is doing. I love them. They're so interesting right now. And then watching foreigners commenting on it is so interesting. I just love it. Oh shit. Suck 10 Russian dicks to pass. Oh no, you remember that one? Fuck, you remember that one? Need to find you a meme. The one which is like, how do you catch a Serb diplomat? And then there's that huge mousetrap. Oh shit, was that safe for work? am I scrolling shit that is not safe for work? It was like how to catch one of their diplomats. And there was the trap thing with like the box and everything, and it said Russian cock right under it. I'll never forget that stupid meme. Man, that was good. Hey, yeah, crazy hunter, how's life? Making this your intro. Oh no. No. I don't know if you're gonna get copyrighted. Yeah. Man, that was such a cool thing. funniest fucking art style ever. Like, how good is that? You know what I need to do? I need to get AI to like sing this for me. But instead of making me the Viking, I'm going to make it fully fit in with the stream theme. That would be fucking cool. Dennis saying he doesn't see much purpose in Ukraine joining European Union. It would be interesting to hear his reasons. Yeah, I feel I fully disagree with him. I feel I fully disagree with him. Why would he say that? Ukraine attempting to not even join the European Union but get closer ties with European Union is literally why Russia attacked it. So, you know, if it was a big enough threat to cause Russia to go against the international law once again and to fucking go and invade a sovereign state, like they knew they were going to suffer sanctions for this shit, right? They knew we're not just going to allow it. Surely they hoped that it's going to go better, but they knew there's going to be some consequences at least, and they were okay with that because they were so desperate about Ukraine not going closer to European Union. I would say it definitely does matter. I would say it fully definitely matters. Man in one chat angry because Ukraine-Romania football is absolute shame, 3-0. According to people who watch the shame, they even did not try to hit goal. Yeah, it's always like that when it comes to football. It's always like, oh, they didn't want to try to win. They didn't want to try to win. They actually just wanted to lose. They lost on purpose. Yeah, they didn't work hard at all. They lost on purpose. They wanted to be on the losing side. Come on. Come on. Not too necessary. European Union, not as much. I can say that. I can say that NATO is necessary when it comes to security assurances. Whereas European Union isn't really created with that specifically in mind, although it does offer some security assurances. But again, Ukraine getting closer to European Union is literally why Russia invaded. Like literally why Russia invaded. They shat their pants because they knew that if Ukraine gets closer ties with European Union, Ukraine is going to prosper as a country. It has every single fucking partner of European Union. They're doing so great. They're doing so great. And Russians knew this. And Russians knew that by losing Ukraine to European Union, they're losing their colony, basically. They're losing a state that they could hope to be controlling in the future. Because they fucking knew Ukrainians are not coming back to the Russian shithole once they get strong ties with the European Union. They knew Ukrainians would not be coming back to them, right? So yeah, I'm saying Ukraine joining European Union absolutely is important and absolutely does matter. Definitely, every single step that they get closer to European Union is a very important step. There was not even a close chance of a goal, yeah. Might have been just a skill level difference, to be fair. Might have been just that. Good economy gives good living standards, give an educated population, and that is something a democracy wants. True, definitely. But when you have a wannabe empire deluded about having the right to its own sphere of influence, then it's like, oh, this country belongs to me because I say it belongs to me, right? So this country belongs to me. This country is getting closer to someone else. I'm losing my sphere of influence. I believe I am owed one. I believe I deserve one. And now I'm losing it? Fuck. Panic. Invasion. My Lord Bebo, is that not a propagandist? Yeah, it's a propagandist. Romanian fans chanted Putin during the Euro 2024 match against Ukraine. Oh, bastards. Digitally altered? I don't think that would even make sense. I don't think that would make sense. But yeah, if they did chant for Putin, that means they're pieces of shit.
The USA allows Ukraine
Like
to
small
strike
kids against
Russian
Ronaldo and
territory
Messi?
with the
Yeah,
weapons
like
they
that.
provided. So what has changed on the front
I guess
since
it's impossible sometimes. Or like look at the Croatian team versus Spain, right? It was a bunch of pensioners basically. Modric was supposed to go into pension. Japan, who the hell knows how long ago? He's just refusing. My man's refusing. We had no chance. We had no chance really. I don't know how we're going to be doing against Albania, but we had no chance right now.
If we were given the green light, we could easily destroy enemy electronic warfare systems, command centers, and missile launch platforms. We know where they all are. We could stop the invaders.
We will return to Achilles later, but for now, after 27 months of prohibition, the Allies finally allowed strikes on enemy territory, and the Ukrainians did strike. For example, in the Belgorod region, the S-400 air defense system burned spectacularly after the HIMARS strike. And Sky News reported on the first strike on Russian territory by a Ukrainian plane. An enemy command center was hit. Analysts of Defense Express determined that these were American GMLRS missiles launched from HIMARS. These missiles carry tungsten fragments that disperse over a large area upon impact. The strike neutralized not only several S-400 launchers, but also radar equipment. Now Ukrainians plan to systematically drive Russian forces out from the border area. For this purpose, they will use European and American artillery systems and launchers, as well as air-to-ground missiles.
Modric?
For example, the American M777 howitzer has a range of 24 kilometers, or up to 40 kilometers with smart.
What's the name of the other one?
The Slava
The one with the plastic wife.
The Howitzer 2000 can fire at 40 kilometers. The French César at about 46 kilometers, and the Swedish Archer at 60 kilometers. However, HIMARS has a strong chance of becoming the headliner of the strike forces. With its GMLRS missiles, it can strike targets at a range of 80 kilometers.
What's his name? Fuck, I can't remember it. Nogometash. I know exactly who you mean, I can't remember what's his name. I'm going through the list of our football players.
Modifications of these missiles reach a range of 250 to 290 kilometers. Another innovation is currently being tested in the war in Ukraine. Ground-launched small-diameter bombs, or GLSDBs, proved ineffective as they were downed by Russian jammers. Instead, the less-known small-diameter glide bomb, GBU-39, showed incredible effectiveness.
Jackson Hinkle? How dare you? How dare you?
GBU-39 was also adapted for ground use in HIMARS launchers, a development that Pentagon representatives say will increase the range of rocket artillery. But why do Ukrainians need to strike Russian territory
the range, hit them all in the ass.
It is necessary not just to destroy the enemy. In May, Russia launched a new large-scale offensive on Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, located just a few dozen kilometers
There's
from
way
the
too
border.
many of them.
Moreover, preparations for the attack were carried out right before the eyes of Ukrainians. Rob Lee, a senior fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute's Eurasia program, explained to Reuters.
Russia could keep its artillery right across the border. It could keep air defense, electronic warfare, command and control there. It had maybe a degree of kind of sanctuary.
No matter my Google. Croatian football player, wife.
Old Soviet weapons did not reach there, and Western ones were prohibited to use. What did this lead to?
Because I'm feeling I should be able to find him if I find his wife. Because she's a bit more
the almost 20,000 strong town of
famous.
Became a battlefield and practically ceased to exist. Now the situation may change.
Wasn't this one?
The Russian offensive is already stalled. Most of Ukraine's allies have given permission to freely use their weapons. Russia constantly threatens everyone with words. But how did they actually respond? With a deep fake, for instance. The US State Department spokesman Matthew Miller allegedly proposed to target the Russian border town of Belgorod. It is not the first time Russia loudly warns about something and does nothing.
Looks like a Viking. Yeah, you know what's the worst thing? I know exactly who you mean. And he's relatively local.
Of Russian attacks on the battlefield.
He's relatively local. I know exactly who you mean.
However, all this time, the West has only been reacting, not
Is
anticipating
it this
events.
one? It's something like that.
But here's what Ukraine could actually achieve if it no longer had to fight with one hand behind
Ah,
its
this
back.
one!
Crimea
Found
is
him,
the
Vida.
Ukrainian peninsula that Russia has occupied
That one!
since
That one! You're thinking of my man. Yeah!
It hosts multiple Russian military
That's
bases,
him, that's him, that's
airfields,
him.
and a naval
I
fleet.
found him through his
But
wife.
now all of
Found him
this
through
is
his
under
wife.
threat.
Found a
All
list
this
of like the
happened
hottest
once
wives
formidable
of
Russian Black Sea fleet
Croatian
is
football
already at the
players.
sea bottom.
That's his wife.
April 17th, after an attack
I found him
strike
through
on
that
a
list.
Jamboa air base, helicopters, and S-400
Okay.
battery and a command post were damaged. On May 15th and 16th, after similar strikes, the Belbek air base was on fire, where 4 planes were destroyed.
That was
as
weird.
well as the
We got a
so-called
new
Russian Patriot,
version of
the
that.
S-400 air defense system. Military targets
But I
in
don't know his
Crimea
name.
are attacked by Ukraine with a deadly combination of its own naval and air drones.
Yeah, there's a new one. There's a new one, and he's also very blonde. And he's blue-eyed. He's blonde and he's blue-eyed, and he has like similar hair, but looks less like a Viking and more like,
Permissions in the future. However,
yeah, I
this
don't
line
know,
again
it's
beyond
basic
express
as
to
man.
another Russian escalation.
Has his eyebrows
Meanwhile,
on.
thanks
This
to
one
the
doesn't
new
even have
permission,
eyebrows, so it's like
Ukrainians are making
a specific
another
look.
move in
The fresh one
response.
has eyebrows,
Do you
so it's not
remember
fun.
the heartfelt cry of the Ukrainian officer Achilles? It seems that something has changed now.
The ground
Man.
under the occupiers' feet is starting to burn. Their equipment, artillery, S-300 and S-400 systems, electronic warfare means. All this is starting to ignite. We have already
May
inflicted
it get
heavy strikes in
worse.
certain sectors.
Man.
As a result, Kharkiv has not been shelled for almost a week. It is important that
Beautiful.
in the near future our allies allow us to use long-range weapons exclusively against military targets. We must strike the enemy in its lair and fight the root of the problem, not its consequences.
Man. Hinkle is the guy his girlfriend left him because he's totally broke loser. Even Russian ships have no money. Yeah. And then she was writing Instagram stories about how he has a tiny cock. So yeah, definitely. I think that was the most respect I've felt for a Russian in a while. And then I remembered who she is, and I was like, nah, fuck her. But it was impressive how she was taking him down. It was also impressive how none of his fans really cared. Like, man, your hero is getting, you know, mocked by his ex. Because he got bought like a little bitch. He got bought and she got tired of him and then she left him. How can you still be a fan of that man? He still had fans. He still had fans for some reason. I don't know. Hinkle recently posted a photo on a Russian ship threatening to take over Odessa. I don't know if you've seen that. He was like, we're going for Odessa. I'm like, do we? Where the fuck are you going? What do you mean we're going to Odessa? Where UK played against Serbia, many shops downtown were flying Serbia flags. Radio at work had a full loop of how the hooligans were fighting in the city center yesterday. Oh yeah. Serbia has a very interesting international presence. Let's say it like that. So yeah, not really surprised. To be fair, I'm kind of surprised they didn't have more chaos regarding Serbia. Like it was almost way too peaceful for them. Oh, she was assigned to a new mission by her FSB boss. Could be that too. I would not be surprised if it was that. He was like, yeah, this Hinkle man, stupid as fuck, girl. Like, we're wasting a really good-looking Russian prostitute on this worthless little piece of shit of a man who's not even a good propagandist. That's a kid. His own parents hate him. We're wasting a high-quality prostitute on some kiddo that nobody likes. And it's definitely going to be put on trial as a traitor to USA at some point. Man has been filming himself flexing with the fact that he is participating in Russian military missions. He's done advertisements for Russian military, basically. Shit, like, look at me driving really cool vehicles. Look at me firing at Ukraine. And I know he wasn't actually firing shit at Ukraine. I know he wasn't actually at warships. in the waters. You know, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't allow him to get close to actual military equipment. But the fact he's posting that shit and bragging about it, I don't know. I'm feeling at some point he's gonna end up at some sort of a court. I'm in the middle and it's business as usual. Nothing like in 2006. Oh, damn. Well, Croatia is having the time of our lives, so, LU, I guess. We're enjoying it. We're having so much fun. So many cars have Croatian flags all over. Like, we lost and we're still putting Croatian flags everywhere. You go through cities, you go through villages, you drive everywhere. You see like Croatian flags on our fences and on our houses and on our cars and everywhere. Just flags. People are buying, men are buying that makeup shit. With like the tricolor. I had that on stream for a while and then I lost it. I need to find that little bullshit. But it's basically like just makeup and you have like Croatian tricolor on it. But it doesn't have the coat of arms, so it kind of looks like Netherlands. But that's not important. People are just going out in full cheerleading outfits at this point. And I think that's really, really cool. So we're having fun.
Russia is not at the summit, and neither is its largest backer, China. Despite the prominent no-shows, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said he hopes the world would work towards a just peace.
Representatives from over 90 countries gathered to try and forge a peace plan for Ukraine. Notably absent is Russian President Vladimir Putin, who was not invited.
By the way, I just want to mention this. Because it would feel bad not to be mentioned. But we had a summit in Croatia of like pro-peace summit basically, as this was ongoing, of Croatians pro-peace and against World War III. It was exactly the shit you imagine in your head right now. It was that. It was basically a meeting of our failed politicians. Two of them actually being our former presidents, who are not really remembered for really good things. One of them is remembered for being so utterly boring that like literally that is all people know about him. But I found it funny because as the summit was ongoing and I was reading the news, and he posts that unfortunately the Croatian pro-peace summit is not getting global coverage. And I just remember being like, yeah, good, my bitch, I don't have to be worried about our reputation. Good. It shouldn't be getting international coverage. And then it got onto Twitter. So now I'm pretty sure you're gonna be seeing some posts shared around. These days, a few cars with flags may be actual fans at public viewing. You know what's the thing though? I have a theory for things when people say, oh, when I was a kid, the situation was like this. And now that I'm older, it has changed. I have a theory, and this goes for everything. This goes for like house parties too. Specifically, like I had a fight with a friend about house party related shit when it comes to this. But this goes for house parties, this goes for community events, it goes for everything, alright? It's because you're lacking, it's because you're failing, it's because you're not doing enough. That's why. Like, oh, when I was a kid, other people had flags everywhere. Yeah, it was adults. It was adults that were the age that you are right now, but like you're failing now. You're not providing that experience to your fellow people and also to the kids in your nation. You're the one who's failing. Like, you're the one who should, go out and do some shit. It's always like that here in the tiny villages that are kind of dying. It's always like, oh yeah, well, when I was a kid, we had so many like village parties, and now that I'm an adult, we have none. Like, are you organizing them? No. Who was organizing them when you were a kid? Adults. You're one of the adults now. You are failing. It's your own lack of action that's causing this world. If you stay passive, of course, the situation is gonna be the way it is. Get off your ass, get some flags, go and do some cheering. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Some songs.
Was met with criticism from some countries.
I fucking googled football.
Skepticism from a close ally.
And the first thing I see is a reminder that we lost
Germany.
To Spain.
Chancellor Olaf Scholz said negotiation was crucial, but stressed that it was Russia that chose war.
Bullshit.
No country wants peace
Fucking
more
bullshit.
than Ukraine. But let us be honest, peace is more than the absence of war.
Spain tree.
It is true, peace in Ukraine cannot be achieved without involving Russia. But let us not forget that as we speak, Russia continues to relentlessly wage its brutal war.
Zelensky defended the decision to exclude Russia and said Moscow would be informed when the time was right.
Based.
There is no Russia here. Why? Because if Russia was interested in peace, there would be no war. We must decide together what a just peace means for the world and how it can be achieved in a truly lasting way.
Zelensky was hoping U.S. President Joe Biden would attend. Instead, Vice President Kamala Harris joined leaders, pledging unwavering support for Ukraine and shooting down a so-called peace proposal made by Putin on the eve of the summit. He claimed Russia would end the war if Ukraine agreed to give up 4 eastern regions and drop its NATO ambitions.
And let nothing about the end of this war be decided without Ukraine. By contrast, however, yesterday, Putin put forward a proposal. But we must speak truth. He is not calling for negotiations, he is calling for surrender.
While countries like Germany and Finland say the summit is a first step to lasting peace, it's not expected to result in a real breakthrough in the absence of Russia.
And we have our correspondent Rosie Burchard in Switzerland with the very latest for us. Rosie, tell us what leaders have achieved at this summit so far.
They talked.
Well, it's a misty morning here high in the Swiss mountains. And leaders, of course, trying to get some clarity on the way forward. But
Slava, how are you
we're
doing?
still waiting to hear if they're going to come up with a declaration and
Oh, that's
exactly
a cool
what
emoji.
is going to be in it. But I think before we get there, we have to really reflect on some of the context.
Do you think it's still
here,
realistic for Ukraine to
Russia's
regain
invasion of
all its
Ukraine,
lost
its full-scale
territory?
invasion of Ukraine,
If
has
we
been a
give them
source
enough
of
weapons,
division
absolutely.
globally. Not only
I think it
because
depends on
it's
the
had
political
huge
will
ripple
of our
effects. We
countries.
heard some African leaders, for example, here talking about the
Because like
impact
when
it's
we
had
talk
on
about
farmers
is
in
it
the
realistic,
African
I
continent, with
absolutely do
price
not
flaring,
think
for
Russians
example,
would be able
but
to
also
hold
because
on to
Russia, the invader,
the
the
occupied
aggressor, is seen
territory
here in Europe,
if
certainly
we
has been on a
had the
mission to
political
try and
will
convince
to
certainly other
help
parts of the
Ukraine
world that
properly.
it is the
I
victim
think
here,
the
and Russia is
lack
not
of
present
political
at
will
these
is
talks.
the problem.
However, 92 countries are. So seeing
Now,
the
do I think
leaders,
it's
envoys and
realistic
ministers,
that the
representatives of
current
those
lack
92 countries all standing
of
together,
political
I
will
think will be
will
seen
change?
as some
Yeah,
degree
to be
of a
honest.
win for
I
Ukraine,
think
of a
it's
symbol
realistic. I
of
do think it's
diplomatic
going to
unity,
change.
but it's not the slam dunk
I don't know
that
if it's
Kiev
too
was hoping
positive,
for, and that is
but
because there are some quite notable notions.
you know, like
So,
we're
for
seeing
example, some
steps
key
in the
diplomatic players from the
proper
so-called global
direction
south, so for
happening
example,
way
South
too slowly,
Africa,
of course, way
India,
too slowly, right?
Indonesia, Brazil, they all
But we're
chose to
seeing
either
steps
send
happen, you know?
just
We're
diplomatic
seeing steps
envoys
of
or
like,
ministers
are
instead
we
of their
allowed to
leaders,
send
and I
Ukraine
think to some extent
humanitarian
that
aid?
will be
No,
seen
even
as a
before that,
snub.
are we allowed
Whether or
to
not this
stop
summit can really
using
move anything
Russian
forward, shift the
resources?
dial will be seen as
Are we
whether
allowed
there
to send
can be
humanitarian
a
aid to Ukraine?
second,
Are we allowed
another
to
summit
send
which comes
helmets for
after this,
soldiers? Are
in
we
which we
allowed
might
to send
actually
some
see
gear
Russia
for
at the table.
soldiers?
Not today.
Indeed, we know
Are we
Kamala
allowed to
Harris has already
sell
left
to
the
send
summit, so has
shells?
German
Are we
Chancellor
allowed to send
Olaf
weapons?
Scholz,
Right?
but can you tell us who
Can
is
we
still
send
there
air
and what we
defense
might expect from them
systems?
today?
Can we send tanks?
Yeah,
Can we
still a
send
whole host
long-range
of leaders here, and of course,
missiles?
sometimes
Can we
when
send
leaders leave, they
planes?
leave
And
their
can we
diplomats
allow
or
Ukraine
envoys to
to
get on
strike
with the
Russian
talks that day.
territory?
Actually, when the
All of
real
these steps were
nitty-gritty
like
of the negotiations happens, I
dumb little
understand that
questions,
the
really.
countries here are
But it
working
was
on
steps that we
a joint
took,
declaration, so
and
some
it
sort
was
of text which
decisions
will
that
recall
we
the fundamentals
made
of the
that
United
ensured
Nations
Ukraine has
Charter,
more
so
of a chance to
territorial
regain the territory that is currently
but
being
it's probably
occupied.
going to be
Now, I
quite
do wish
vague
that we
in the
made
terms
these
of language it
decisions
uses
way
because, of course,
faster,
trying to
and I
unite
do
this
wish
broad
we
church of more than 90 countries
we
around
allowed
one
Ukraine
goal,
to
that's
be
something which will likely be pretty difficult.
using its current abilities way sooner.
Particularly
But I still
President
think
Volodymyr
it's
Zelensky.
realistic
I think
that
he will come out, strike an
Ukraine
optimistic tone,
would
as
be
he
able
already
to
has,
free
and try
up
to frame this
to
really
liberate
as
its
success,
occupied
but of course,
territories
the success
genuinely.
we'll see down the line whether or not
Hey,
this
Tifon has
is,
life.
as President Zelensky says, a
Andrew
moment in
Perpetua
history
thinks
when
it
the
will happen
history of
eventually, Russia deciding
moving
to leave
toward
Ukraine.
peace in Ukraine
Yeah,
is
it's
finally written, of course,
I feel
and
it's
the moment
because
the war still rages on.
when you
That was a
look
great- from a
at
very misty Switzerland for us. Thank
the
you so much,
support
as always.
Ukraine is getting, the support is developing, right? Like, you know, the whole thing with, oh, helmets, protective gear for soldiers, generators,
for its citizens.
shells and weapons and air defenses and planes and striking into Russia. Just like one step more, one step more, one step more constantly. The question is, how long can Russia keep on adapting to us changing the game? Because like we have the upper hand here, and I think it's tragic that some of our people are still not realizing it. We have the upper hand here, right? If we made these decisions sooner, there would be no chance for Russia to adapt. Now it has been able to adapt to some level. And I do think at some point it will reach the point where it will just not be able to adapt anymore if we continue with the current pace. Now I do hope that we continue in the current direction, but way faster, because it would save so many lives, right? But at some point I do feel like it's going to reach a situation where Russia will just not be able to adapt anymore, because Russia simply does not have the allies nor the capability that NATO has, that Ukrainian allies do have. It might end with a coalition of the willing, intervening boots on the ground if the front falls. Yeah, I'm kinda worried about that, because I've seen them saying that they are willing to send boots on the ground. But then the idea was, we're gonna send boots on the ground if, how was it? If a major town falls? Am I remembering it correctly? Which basically it's setting, I feel it's setting a imaginary red line that isn't really real. I feel it's bluffing. That's what I want to say. I feel it's bluffing. Because we've seen plenty towns in Ukraine fall so far, and no one did anything. And now suddenly it's like, oh yeah, if a major town falls, then we will do something. What's a major town in your eyes? What is it? How do you make the decision? How do you decide on what is, sacrifice enough to send boots on the ground? Just fucking send them. just do it. Genocide Joe camp across the Atlantic be activated before Putin's stand Donald Trump gets elected and turn that country into the Russian States of America. That's true. Hey, 31 police cars. Thank you, Estonia. Thank you, Estonia. You're my best friend. You're the peacekeeper. You're the legend. Do you think we should send nuclear weapons to Ukraine? No. After this war ends, and after Ukraine has liberated its occupied territories, I do think we should start the conversation about the deterrent that nukes create, and about the failures of the Budapest Memorandum, and about safety of small countries surrounded by enemies, and their need to have an international community to rely on, and not to have traitors, which is what we were basically to Ukraine, just traitors. But I do not think that sending nuclear weapons right now would be a smart choice. Not at all. I do not even think as a deterrent it would be that smart. After the war, though, I do think Ukraine should be having the ability and the right to start conversations about getting a deterrent of their own, especially if we do not get them into NATO immediately. But yeah, I think they can defeat Russia without nukes. There might be so-called Karelia question ahead for Ukraine. Similar situation when Finland lost some land to Soviet Union but was able to keep their independence. So there could be a situation where Ukraine can't get everything they want. I do see why that seems realistic. My problem is that it would be rewarding Putin for his invasion. It would be rewarding Putin for his invasion, and if you reward a dictator for his invasion, he's going to present it as victory. Russian scum is going to see it as victory. Like, their people are going to have celebrations in the street if they get 1 inch square of Ukrainian territory. they are going to see that as a victory. They're going to see that as Russia getting the land it deserves, Russia becoming an empire again, Russia defeating the Western global homo forces. They're going to celebrate that. And then they're going to go and butcher another country in like 5 to 10 years, depending on how long it takes them to revive their military. So I think it's very dangerous to give them anything. I think it's very, very dangerous to give them a shred of territory at all. So personally, I would not like it. I think it would be a blind thing to do. I think it would be equivalent to the Munich betrayal that we did with Hitler. So yeah. Dun-dun-dun. If the front falls and they risk toppling the government and leadership. Yeah, but it's such a vague thing that to me it genuinely feels like a bluff. Macron hinted boots on the ground shouldn't be off the table. Yeah. Though it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not seeing clear calls for it. So for me, it's like a bluffing. I see it as a bluffing. So yeah. If you send nukes to Ukraine, that might be one of the only few situations where Russia might actually use its nukes. Yeah, at this point, I think it wouldn't be smart. Conceding anything will be seen as a sign of West's weakness. True. Oh, wait, I clicked. What do you think about giving like 3 or something territories Russia and wait 10 years till maybe the aggressive fox of Russia die naturally? Nope. 2 problems. First problem. You're not just giving the territories, you're giving the people. And then it's the question of like how many people are you willing to allow to be tortured and raped and thrown into mass graves. And personally, I think it's an option that someone not from Ukraine shouldn't even have the guts to recommend. Right? I think as an outsiders to situation, we should have self-awareness to not even say that, right? You're basically saying, hey, how do you feel about a bunch of Ukrainians just being ethnically cleansed of their territory? I don't think this is something that we as non-Ukrainians should be allowed to discuss in the first place. A decision like that would be very painful, would be very serious, and should only and solely be discussed by Ukrainians themselves. Only and solely Ukrainians, no one else. No one else. Not allies, not countries that are friends with Ukraine, no one. Only and solely Ukrainians should be allowed to discuss whether this is something that they feel okay with sacrificing. That's the first problem. The second problem? Russians were aggressive centuries ago. Right? Like Putin's gonna die off, he's gonna be replaced by the same shit. The old people of Russia are gonna be replaced by the younger people of Russia who are the same shit. They're all the same shit. Russian culture is the same shit culture. It stays the same. It's gonna be like Milosevic dying in Serbia. What did it change? It changed nothing. It changed nothing in Serbia because that's the Serb culture and that is the Russian culture. It's never going to change, and it's especially is not going to change if you give them territories that they have illegally occupied, because that reinforces the culture. That reinforces the idea that these are the lands that they have some sort of a right to. So you would be looking at people with trash culture that is killing, and then you would be saying, hey, I'm gonna reward you for this trash culture of killing. And I hope that in time, you by yourselves figure out that your trash culture of killing is bad for you. I just don't think it's realistic. I think it would be a very dangerous decision, a very blind decision, and I think it's only going to create a worse situation. I know we definitely can be aware that Ukraine might not get everything, absolutely. But I think it's really important to acknowledge the danger we are putting ourselves in by, doing the Hitler appeasement again. I think we really should be aware of the danger of that. They want 5, including Crimea, and don't have captured the whole oblast. That too. But then again, like you give them anything. How will a new peace treaty be honored by Russia? You know exactly how. The same way Russians have honored every single peace treaty so far. Yeah. Russia does not end anywhere. My dude. Hey, why did I say this? But yeah, overall, I think it's a very dangerous decision to make. Yeah.
Россия – самая большая по территории страна в мире, с огромным количеством ископаемых энергоресурсов. Мы есть очень аппетитный сырьевой придаток. Все наши земли могут быть ваши земли. Ведь главным партнером России в торгово-экономической сфере является Китай. Россия в изоляции, и вы единственный наш экономический партнер. Поэтому мы надеемся на взаимные продуктивные отношения. Вы нам помочь в затяжной войне, мы быть полностью зависимы от Китая. Россия и Китай – братья навек. Россия Китаю – вассал навек. Хорошо. Все. Ну, я пойду.
Fair though. It's a fake country held together by dog shit. True, really true. No one should get territories of another country, and Russia shouldn't get nothing for what it did. But that's a question of fairness. But fairness was never given because Russia is just an evil bigger country. If I could choose what would be fair, I would turn back the time and turn every Russian soldier into a cat Ukrainian children can play with. Yeah, but I think I'm not talking about fairness. I am not talking about fairness. When I talk about fairness, I talk about the fact that I sincerely believe sanctions on Russia should be staying until they pay reparations. And when I say reparations, I mean the next 10 generations of Russians should be giving every single ruble that touches their pockets straight to Ukraine. And I still think they will not pay this off. But if we talk about fairness, that's what fairness to me. I'm not talking about fairness when I talk about the idea that Russia should not be given territories. I'm talking about the fact that strategically, historically, it is stupid to go and appease an aggressor. We've learned this. We got into World War II because of this. Because we tried to appease the aggressor and the aggressor kept attacking. Right? We made this mistake already. We know this scenario. This isn't about fairness. This is about blindly marching into death and thinking that you're avoiding some bigger conflict by doing it. And you're not. You're not. You're just jerking off a dictator to allow him to come closer to you. That's the only thing you're doing. This isn't about fairness. It's about self-preservance. Budapest Memorandum. Yeah, Budapest Memorandum, yeah. It was... In retrospect, yeah. But to be fair, it came at a time where the word of Americans seemed more honest and more worth than what it is right now. Whereas Germany only ended paying reparations in around the early 90s. That's fairness, right? That's fairness. Taking every single Russian asset in every single one of our countries and giving all of it to Ukraine for rebuilding, that's fairness. Not allowing Russians to come close to our countries after this war ends, that's fairness. But like when we talk about not giving them territories, that's not about fairness. That's just about, like, do you want to avoid a fucking war or do you not want to avoid a fucking war? Because you're not avoiding the war by appeasing a dictator. Which again, like, we learned this. We fucking learned this, alright? We tried to appease a dictator in World War II, and guess how it ended? We tried to appease a genocidal force in 90s in Balkans when Serbs were going in and butchering Muslims. And when UN wrote a whole document, which was basically, oh yeah, next time when people talk about a genocide ongoing, we should act. We should not stand aside and allow the genocidal force to give their reasoning for this genocide. We should act to stop it, to stop the suffering. And then, this happens and UN forgets about its own resolutions from years ago, because of course it does. When people blame whole West for failure of Budapest Memorandum, deal was made by a couple of Western countries, not the whole West. I think another problem in the situation is that the whole West was complicit in allowing Russia to invade Ukraine in 2014. So I don't really think it was only about the Budapest Memorandum failing. I think it's about the security assurances we gave to Ukraine just crumbling completely, like NATO promising that one day Ukraine is going to become a member and shit like that. We allowed all of that to fail, and we were all complicit. And not only were we all complicit, we allowed our countries to be signing more and more and more deals with Russia. Right? I feel blaming the entirety of the West is absolutely all right. We allowed our countries to be signing deals. We allowed our countries to be getting more and more cozy to Russian oligarchs. We allowed our journalists to go to work for Russian propaganda outlets, and for their journalists to go and work in ours. The ties between every single one of our countries and Russia are very, very deep. Like Croatia, for example, a relatively tiny country here in the Balkans, right? Croatia has a link. Basically, our president's cousin, some sort of relative, is the only Croat who is put on the list of sanctions against Russians. He's a very, very high-ranking man in one of their oil firms. He introduced our current president to, what's his stupid name? To the Russian who was directly involved in campaigning for Trump back in 2016. He was one of the men directly involved in getting the trolls and everything to go and cheer for Trump online. Right? We are all so closely linked. We are so closely linked. So yeah, I think pissing on the West is absolutely deserved, to be honest. I feel we fully deserve that shit. Yeah, Russian invasion was known months in advance. That's true. And we were like, yeah, they're not gonna do it. No. But like Nord Stream 2, we allowed Nord Stream 2. You think Merkel would be able to sign it if we weren't complicit? She wouldn't be fucking able to sign it. So yeah, basically every single country, you can look at in any country you are, and you can find your deep links to Russia, and you can find levels and levels and levels of complicity that your people have been engaged in when it comes to this situation. So yeah, of course I'm very concerned on that, and I'm okay with us being, mocked. You blame everyone, even countries who were not asked for nothing. USA, UK, France wanted to make a deal by themselves. Yeah, but it's because everyone in the West was complicit. It's because everyone in the West continued to trade with Russia as if everything was normal. I think that when people blame the entirety of the West for the current situation, I think that's what they blame it on. It's not like blaming them specifically for the Budapest Memorandum. It's blaming them for all the other layers of complicity that we have engaged in. Because we did. We engaged in a lot of it. 24 years of illusion, the Cold War is over? Yeah, basically. Estonia has given most of their ammo and equipment. So if we get invaded, we're gonna throw rocks and pieces at Russians. To be fair, I feel that... if any NATO country gets invaded, especially like you got Finland at this point, but I feel that if any NATO country gets invaded, I feel we are in a situation where we will see NATO boots on the ground. I don't feel any NATO country will have to stand by itself. For now. I am very worried though about the possibility of Russia getting ground in Ukraine and then getting over to Hungary. But yeah. having zero power and then blaming those countries who are not even asked and were ignored is just stupid. Yeah, I think it depends on which country, genuinely. But I do think that most of our countries were complicit. So it really depends on like which country specifically we are talking about. I could imagine some of them being wrongly blamed, but I do think most of the West does have blood on their hands. Could argue Finland and Estonia are maritimely invaded, as Russia tried to take some of the international waters of those two countries. Oh shit, yeah, I was like moving. I'm moving the borders. Oh, pieces of shit. Can you imagine that? Imagine the audacity. Imagine the fucking audacity. Like, why? What the fuck? What the fuck is that even? Let me just go here and like fucking move the borders of these countries. Sea line, because yeah, why not? How fucking stupid is that? Kaya Kallas woman, she got another 60 billion. Oh my god, I will put an end to this. Just give land to Russia and peace is restored. Yeah, piece of shit. But also how his peace proposal was basically, Ukraine gives me everything I want and then also can't join a defense alliance. So Ukraine gives me everything I want, and then also it makes itself ripe for another invasion when, you know, I get a strong military again. Imagine that. We didn't do enough even after MH17 was shut down. And the Prime Minister, who was our leader back then and still is, will be the next NATO leader soon. Hey, we can hope you're gonna do something though. We can hope you're gonna do something. But yeah, I definitely see what you mean. Like, I'm blaming Croatia a lot, my dude. I'm blaming fucking Croatia a lot. And it's not like we were asked, you know, we were never asked. But I'm fucking blaming Croatia. I think we made some really, really stupid decisions about getting really, really cozy to Russia. I'm blaming France. I'm blaming Germany, definitely. I think Merkel fucked up a lot of the things. But then when you look like at, I don't know, Austria, when you look at Italy, when you look at UK, when you look at how many countries were playing along with Russia, when you look at how many of our countries were sending diplomats over, when you look at the fact that we had to be waiting anxiously for days to learn if Russian propagandists are getting a seat back in the European Union Parliament, and then some of them lost the seat, but some of the new ones got a seat again. Our nations are complicit. Our nations are in big part complicit, and I genuinely feel that we deserve to be spat on every once in a while because of it. Kaya Kallas would be an amazing leader.
Democracies will bring out the biggest impact of Russian propaganda most people do not grasp, and the cost of us not understanding what that is. We'll talk about how Russian propaganda tries to make our democracies ungovernable.
Big business, big complaints. Yeah, I can see that.
Western politicians sometimes seem to borrow techniques from Russian propaganda.
No, you know what's the problem with Merkel?
We've got to make sure that we're all at least...
You remember when Merkel stepped down from her position? You remember when she did that big interview later that was quoted by a lot of Russians, where she was eating shit about Minsk deals, where she said that she knew that Russia is going to break the Minsk deals. She knew it's going to happen, but she signed them anyways because she hoped it's going to give Ukraine more time to arm itself. We're talking about a woman who all of this time kept on deepening her ties with Russia. And now she's being like, oh yeah, I only did it to give Ukraine more time to arm itself. It's basically the Nazi-Soviet alliance of World War II, where some people will still be like, oh, they weren't actually allies. Soviets were just waiting for Nazis to get tired so they can destroy them later. Bullshit. But I think Merkel tried to fix her reputation, and I think it worked for a while. And then it crumbled. And especially you're seeing it crumbling very recently. I don't know how much you've been following this, but one German news source recently published a whole report. Specifically, one part of it was the fact that Merkel, for example, knew that Russia is intentionally limiting the supply of gas through Nord Stream 1 because it wanted Europe to have less gas. So Europe goes, fuck, we have to sign Nord Stream 2, right? Because like this is the top capacity of Nord Stream 1 and we're not getting enough. She knew Russians were limiting it. And she chose to say nothing because she wanted to sign the deal. She knew exactly what was going on and she allowed it. So yeah, she's a traitor, and I think she's just aware that she can't really defend herself in front of the press, so that's why she's trying to avoid them. Or that it was true, if not even earlier. Oh yeah, no, definitely. It's just that Merkel was like, I'm fucking salty about her, alright? She should have known better. She should have known fucking better. People are voting CDU in Germany in 2024 and media is only talking about AfD. Yeah, I think there's also this big thing in European Union elections where a lot of interesting actors are trying to make it sound like our far right got more wins than what it did. Because the change of seating in the European Union Parliament, there has been a change. It is not as drastic as many of these types of people will want you to be, believing in. It is not as drastic. The far right is not getting supremacy over European Union or whatever the fuck. But I think it's specifically in the interest of certain types of people and certain media sources to be misrepresenting this. So be careful about what you are consuming, is what I'm trying to say. Be careful about what you are consuming and which news you're watching. I'm trying to figure out what you're saying, but yeah. Some people were so stupid that they thought Russia will become liberal democracy. Oh no, definitely. I mean, to be fair, like when Putin got into power, he was supposed to be a democracy supporter. I don't know how much you've seen like his first interviews and shit like that. Man genuinely was pretending to be a supporter of democracy, like genuine proper democracy. He was supposed to, make Russia evolve into a proper European country. So, yeah.
Baby experts in propaganda. So we've got to go to baby
You watch a lot of Cope
class
YouTubers?
and
I
start
do not.
by distinguishing Russian propaganda from Soviet propaganda.
I watch proper shit.
I grew up in the USSR, and there the propaganda you got was alternate reality propaganda. My school told me to love Lenin more than my parents.
I would argue.
This was falsehood peddled at you, designed to persuade you of a coherent alternate picture of reality.
I would argue
This
that
is
trying
very
to separate
different
the
to
land
Russian
of another
propaganda.
country
Russian propaganda is not alternate reality propaganda. Russian
is
propaganda
not
is post
my preferred way of
propaganda.
discussing
It's designed to
geopolitics.
persuade you not into an opinion, but into inaction, into not doing politics. Russian propaganda asks you to not have political opinions, but it wants you to have two minimal opinions about political opinions. First, participating in politics is a bad idea. Only a fool does that. Private freedom is good, but public freedom is for idiots. This is an extreme project of depoliticization. The second opinion is a back-of-the-napkin theory of truth, which says who knows what, if anything, is true, which is, of course, a self-refuting position. To understand this more deeply, let's look at what I take to be the four central pillars of Russian Putinite propaganda. The first pillar of Putin's propaganda is doubt about truth itself. Here we get to the heart of how this propaganda works. It wants to convert the thirst each human has for truth into resistance to accepting that anything is true. It exploits your desire not to get duped by politics. To
Oh,
get
What
you
Baxter
to
videos
doubt
are really, really good.
everything about
Like, it's a good choice
and
to
eventually
have it.
doubt the very possibility
His
of
chatting videos get a
acquiring
bit
truthful
slow
beliefs about politics
on his
at
other
all.
channel,
To apply this
but
pillar
the
to a
videos on
terrible
this
thing
channel,
Russia does in Ukraine, their defense
Cuisine,
won't be,
cuisine,
this
I
isn't
love it.
true, we didn't do it. but nobody can really know what's true. The second pillar of Russian propaganda is foregoing.
But like if you watch, I don't know how much you watch The Man. He paused it now because he switched the topic. I don't know how much you watch The Man, but like a lot of things that he says in these videos on his proper channel are things that he already said in his chatting channel, just put into another form. So that's kind of also really, really true. I feel over time you really learn how he views the situation. And yeah, I think it definitely has a lot of validity.
About a terrible thing in Ukraine, the Kremlin might peddle two incompatible messages. It didn't happen, and it happened, but somebody else did it. The third pillar of Russian propaganda is saturation, volume, flooding. About a terrible thing done in Ukraine, this might mean not taking 2, but 8 incompatible positions. It didn't happen, somebody else did it, it was staged, we did it, but we were forced to. Ukraine did it, NATO did it, the planet Saturn did it, the planet Saturn didn't do it, but its rings did. The fourth pillar of Russian propaganda is motivational internality. Think of this as the maxim that a person is only going to be motivated by what already motivates them. Unlike Soviet propaganda, Russian propaganda doesn't want to put into your head something that isn't already there. It wants to start with what already motivates you and then manipulate.
That makes sense. I watch them on stream because I feel they are light.
Out of control via your own ideological logic.
Maybe light is another way to say cope. But basically, the way I'm seeing it is like if you're on stream, I want to do the analysis to the deepest level than that someone in chat is doing analysis, if that makes sense. So like if chat's talking about like smart shit, then we can go down the rabbit hole and watch some more complex videos. But if chat is chilling, I feel it's easier to show stuff like Dennis and Arthur than it is to show, you know, proper analysis of the battlefield. That's also why I'm not really doing the ISV reports, for example. I feel they go a bit too deep in most situations, and I feel in most days we're not really going that deep overall as a stream, and I'm trying not to push into it too much. Sauron, are you on some drugs? Because I'm feeling you're on some magic.
But to make
I have
our
no idea what
political
you're saying.
systems ungovernable by exacerbating what already divides us. Ungovernability is the aim. At this point, we need to recognize that Putin's propaganda has changed in a way that affects Russians but doesn't affect us in the West. Since the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Russian propaganda has moved 20 or 30% back to Soviet-style alternate reality propaganda. The content of this propaganda isn't Soviet. After all, the Soviet Union was a distorted hard-left regime, and Putin's regime is a fascistized hard-right tyranny. But the form is Soviet. It is alternate reality propaganda. 70% of the time, the Kremlin now tells Russians, believe nothing and nobody, not even us. 30% of the time, it now says, do believe us after all, we have an ideology to sell you. This is happening because Russia is a fascistized regime without a fascistized population. The regime
stuff at
knows that
surface
this
level, but correctly.
disbalance is unsustainable, but it doesn't know how to change it, when to change it, and whether changing it is something they can control. To sum up, for us, it's post-truth propaganda. For Russians,
There was that
it's a
one Ukrainian
combination of
YouTuber
post-truth
I
propaganda
watched a
and
few
alternate reality
times.
propaganda. Before we get to the
think
biggest
she was
harm
rather
that
alright
Russian
with it.
propaganda does that most people don't understand,
But also, yeah.
we have to spend some time thinking about the word organic.
Because what Vexel was
Russian
actually talking
propaganda
about
isn't
is, he talks about this in one of his chatting videos, about how hard it is to be a YouTuber. Because, oh my man, it's specifically about how, like he's making videos about the reality of Russia, for example. But because he's making videos about the reality of Russia, YouTube algorithm is trying to recommend him to go into certain other topics in order to gain a more specific audience, basically. And he's like fighting against it, or at the time he said he was fighting against it. But, you know, like YouTube is trying to push you. And I think what YouTube is basically trying to do is like, oh, you can't be in the middle, because then you're not really falling into a specific group of people you want to be targeting for your audience, right? Because the amount of people who enjoy watching unbiased coverage of news is really, really tiny. So what you can do is get into one of these two hype groups, one of them being full of copium and the other one being full of copium for the other side. And then you just gotta choose where you're gonna go. So yeah, I do definitely think it's about the traffic and the way that the algorithm works.
Just a tool of the Kremlin. It's a species of an organic political disease circulating around the world. With a collapse of seriousness in Western politics, we increasingly see two new breeds of politician here at home: the political entrepreneur and, more destructively, the post-truth populist. The political entrepreneur serves the political landscape for personal advancement. They're not out to positively break the democratic game, but if that is the consequence of self-advancement, so be it. These politicians are frequently liars. They see politics in purely instrumental terms, and they justify the social harm their very presence in politics does by appealing to the language of personal self-realization and the pursuit of authenticity. Post-truth populists are different from political entrepreneurs because they are
US supported Putin into power to propagate capitalism. I don't think.
Populists obscure the difference
no.
between truth and lies itself.
I don't think that was the reasoning behind that at all.
Isn't that they lie, but that they have consciously
I don't think
given
Putin
up
needed a push by USA to go into capitalism at all.
Post-truth politics is a kind of co-conspiracy between politicians.
Basically, what I'm thinking is that I think a lot of people, especially a certain type of voters in Western countries, I think they like seeing capitalism as the big bad thing from which all of the other bad things start. And that's how it starts. That's how that idea sounds to me. US supported Putin in power to propagate capitalism. That's the way it sounds to me. It's like you're focusing on this supposed big bad evil thing of capitalism that, like, all of your geopolitical analysis circulates around that one topic all the time. And I don't think it's realistic at all in any sort of a way, really. No, I definitely don't think that's true.
Both parties half agree.
Fuck tankies, yeah, I don't know even if it's just tankies or if we would call them by the bigger group name of communists.
Here they are, from least
but definitely like
one is feeling unsafe.
Not really a useful geopolitical analysis when you introduce those types of delusions into it.
Powerless. This goes with the thought that there is nothing you can do to inflect the political process. You reach out to touch politics, but you can't touch it. The third is feeling betrayed, which goes with the thought that your political institutions prioritize others over you, thereby making them evil. And fourth, we have the worst feeling, the feeling of opacity, which goes with the thought that you can no longer see politics. Your political institutions no longer make sense. This is a lapse into magical thinking, which makes you not mind if your political institutions get destroyed, because they don't make sense anyway. The causes of this crisis range from one, the untethering of communal bonds in our societies.
So, to be fair, though, you know what's my problem? I've been having conversations about this. You know what's my problem? I think a lot of times, and this is a mistake that like tankies make, communists make, leftists make, but I think overall a lot of people in the political sphere make, is that they very often forget that when you talk about capitalism, when you talk about communism, you're talking about the economy, talking about economical models, right? And then when you talk about a situation in USSR specifically, you're talking about a dictator, right? You're talking about a dictator. I think it's like very important to differentiate between a genocidal imperialist regime that is willing to go and butcher everyone and like starve nations around it, to do ethnic cleansing, to commit genocide. Circassia is no more, my dude. I think it's very important to understand the difference between that and what people imagine socialism or communism to be. Like, I genuinely don't think that connecting socialism to imperialist dictatorial regimes is a smart thing. I don't really think it's the correct way to look at these terms. USSR would collapse early if they couldn't loot and pillage their Central European neighbors. That's true, definitely. In a way, man, I feel Russia would be collapsing sooner if it didn't force countries to stay in its area of influence. Like, look at what happened with Ukraine, right? The whole thing with them attacking Ukraine is Ukraine wanted to go closer to European Union. Russia figured out that, hey, if Ukraine goes closer to European Union and starts prospering and having a proper democracy, like, we're going to be even more obviously a shithole than we are right now. And we already are a shithole, all right? But we got a reputation to keep. We gotta pretend that we deserve an empire. We got a reputation to keep. So yeah, if we didn't allow them to do butchering as much as they want to, if we didn't allow them to fucking go and butcher Chechens with no consequence, I feel they would be much closer to crumbling than they are right now. Communism means placing all production and industry in the hands of the government, already paving the way for dictatorships. I do agree with that. We can talk about the dangers of communism and how it's relatively unrealistic to pretend it's going to be any sort of a, dreamy little world under it, because it does pave the way for dictatorships. I definitely can agree with that. I just don't think it's a useful analysis of communism to, like, pretend that the economical system of communism is equal to, dictatorship itself. The saying that it gets dictatorships bigger possibility to get a power over the entirety of the country, I can see that. I'm not gonna ask Zach because Zach is deeply uneducated on the situation in Eastern Europe. So I am refusing. That man is about as educated on Eastern Europe as any really American communist is. I am not willing to do that. All right, whenever I go in that chat, I'm seeing people discussing the Eastern European situation to the most primitive surface levels. I am refusing. I think his analysis of communism is as worth as is the analysis of people who hear communism and think of dictators. Like, they think it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's basically the same level of understanding of the topic, just from a different side. So, no. Yeah, I'm refusing. If I wanted to ask someone, I would be asking someone who has knowledge on Eastern Europe, specifically USSR. Capitalism is not perfect, but it seems to generate a lot more well-being and wealth in general. I think if you look at countries which are prospering from their situation the most, but then also you get into the conversation of, certain countries exploiting other countries, and it's the question of, like, oh, how much would you really be able to give your people a good life under capitalism, or under capitalism with some socialist undertones? How much would you be able to give them a good life if you weren't exploiting other people somewhere else completely? I think it's a very, very big conversation to be having. But I still think it's important to understand that we're talking about economical model specifically, is basically what I'm trying to push into this. Really, really important. Both far left and right use it to bring about the West's demise. Okay, yeah, that's true. That is true. I see that. Trump. Oh shit, why am I even reading your messages, my dude? You're on drugs, I don't know what I'm doing. Russians think that they can't be an empire if Ukraine goes her own path. It is, to be fair, in a... what's the name of that Mearsheimer worldview? Aggressive realism. Under aggressive realism, yeah, Russia is a failure of an empire if Ukraine goes her own way. Because Ukraine is supposed to be in Russian area of influence. So Russia losing area of influence means that Russia is crumbling as an empire, right? So, it is in Russia's interest for self-preservation to be keeping Ukraine in its area of influence. However, it's not really a worldview that I support too much. Wait, where were we on this? My brat slippers Kozak dipshit and his. Yeah, it's mostly a case of like a commie. I don't even think he's that bad. Like as a person, I have opinions on commies usually, and I don't think they're particularly well aware of the situation in Eastern Europe. Kerch Bridge accounts for less than a quarter of the total transiting cargo, and for the rest Russia uses a ferry crossing in Kerch, which the Ukrainian military struck in late May. This bridge is no longer of such tactical and strategic importance after the damage it sustained as a result of a joint operation. Oh man, so we're not gonna be hitting it? We're not gonna be hitting it? That sucks. That sucks. Communism can't exist as humans are not fair. Any of you think leaders in a communist country would do things for the greater good? To be fair, I don't think it's true that communism can't exist. I think what is true is that communism, in the dreamy sense of what people imagine communism to be, cannot be existing. I think some way of communism, close to the actual idea, but not it itself, is absolutely realistic to be existing, and it would definitely have some benefits over the current system in the same way it would be having some problems, right? Because like the thing is, when you talk about capitalist systems, come on, like do we have fair systems right now with all the regulations set in place? We don't. We fucking don't, alright? Humans are trash. We're trash and we're still exploiting each other and we're still cheating the system and we're still figuring out ways to, go around the rules and to fuck each other over. So I think any sort of economic system you can imagine, if you try to apply it to a country, it's going to get corrupt. I don't think there's a single system you can specifically be criticizing for this, as long as you imagine the system has proper regulations, safety regulations set in place. But yeah, I think most of my opinions on that are in the vein of I don't think we're switching to anything. I don't think a switch to anything is realistic. I don't think a switch to communism is realistic, so I don't think like the discussion about it is a realistic one to have in the first place. That's most of my problems about it, to be completely honest. We're talking about Russians.
An atomizing effect of social media, 3
Thieving
mechanisms
mode.
of exclusion, and 4 ideologies of self-realization which give up on solidarity and the public good. Everything we've described is organic in the sense that it would still be happening if the malign actors interfering in our democracies vanished off the face of the earth. But they haven't vanished. They're trying to exploit and exacerbate our democratic incapacity for their purposes. We want them to lose, but at the moment we might be losing. It's now that we come to the biggest harm Russian propaganda does that most people do not recognize. The harm Russian propaganda seeks to do to Western democracies is DIY harm. Russian propaganda is unreasonably effective because it seeks to trigger a self-destructive response on our part which if we want to save our democracies, we've got to stop. They want us to freak out about their interference so dramatically that our freak out about the interference does more harm than the interference itself. The Kremlin wants the architects of the damage to our democracies to be not just people who parrot Russian propaganda, but you and me. People who might lose their cool because they're worried about Russian propaganda and interference. The Kremlin wins if we lose our capacity to tell apart homegrown democratic crisis from malign foreign interference. And the Kremlin wins more if we lose not just that capacity, but our capacity to engage in democratic regeneration, because we think our problems are externally caused, a product of malign foreign interference, and therefore do not need a fix. The Kremlin wins if we lapse into magical thinking and ourselves become conspiracy theorists by taking problems that are 95% homegrown and 5% Kremlin exaggerated and seeing them as 5% homegrown and 95% Kremlin caused without evidence, because like a conspiracy theorist, we think that the evidence that really matters is evidence that is not visible to the eye. Now
That
we
makes
need to make
sense.
a comment about
That makes sense. Wait, let me read the chat. There were like a few big messages and I missed them. Oh, it was Sauron, alright. Power is everything in Russia. This way in life, the country can't really go very far. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's going a bit farther than what we wanted. Premise of communism is the arrogance that a single entity in the hands of the workers can produce anything you need, from food to shoes, TVs, anything. This is of course not doable as it creates economic fallacies. In North Korea, the state controls food production. They have famine for millions every 5 to 10 years. You can see that. Yeah, I don't know. I would need to be reading some economic theory, my dude. I would need to be reading some theory. Unironically, I did a Thompson thing today, and I asked ChatGPT about it, and it gave me a list of like a bunch of people writing about the possibility of introducing communism to our societies. So maybe that, but you know I'm not really an economy person. I'm not really an economy bitch. The amount of care I give to these topics is very tiny. And yeah, again, in big part, it's because I genuinely don't see it as realistic that we're ever going to be seriously asking the question of, hey, should we be switching to communism? You know, it's not going to happen. It's not a question anyone is going to ask. It's not like we'll ever have some sort of a worldwide revolution or whatever the fuck. It's never going to happen. So it's like a dreamland. The research itself feels very, it's not like overdosing on copium. Like, why would you even look into it? It's not gonna change. You wanna look into something, look into who to donate for to help Ukraine win. You know, do something useful. But I don't know. Short terms for politicians is good because you get new people in and interest for solving the problem. Could see that. At the same time, you get inexperienced people in more often, which means it's going to take them some time to get accustomed to the situation. And then if you too quickly switch them with someone else, you're never going to be seeing any real change, are you? $2.24 boobas Mondays are illegal. Mondays themselves should be illegal. Boobas not, but Mondays themselves. Food production is in the end of the private, and we have so much food that we waste it both on the shelves and on the tables at dinner. So it's efficient. I feel it would be more efficient if we had less of it actually wasted though, and more of it contributed to layers of society that might need it. Which we are doing, by the way. There's a big move at the European scale. Croatian MEP working on it specifically, Biljana Borzan, the Croatian hero. She is working on getting supermarkets specifically to have to donate food to depending to like charities or whatever, and like depending on which country it is in and who the store wants to be cooperating with. We have specifically one chain, one supermarket chain in Croatia that is donating to local charities in all of its cities, right? But I feel something like that would mean efficiency, right? I feel that would be an efficient system. Poor person competing with a wealthy person in the marketplace. It's like playing the card game war with the poor person having 2 3s and a 5, and the wealthy person having all the other cards. Yeah, that's true. That's why though when we talk about these things, I think it's important not to jerk off too much about the reality of capitalism, right? While it's all right to acknowledge that communism by itself, and especially this like dreamy view of communism, is a very unrealistic system that's never going to happen, I think at the same time you should realize like capitalism being this dreamy system that allows everyone to have their best chance is also rather unrealistic, right? The world we live in right now, the system we live in, it's genuinely not fair. Hey, yo, DB, fuck a Monday, true, fuck Mondays. Absolutely.
And Putin's position on the 2024
What a
US
day,
election,
I know, right?
it has
How was your day?
changed
Was it
since
good?
2016.
The power play between the two alpha males was more
I think Likud and Hamas are both extremists that should be punished for doing the shit that they're doing. I think Israel has the right to defend itself. I do not feel it has been doing enough to minimize casualties in the situation, and especially with the amount of genocidal rhetoric coming from certain of their officials. Definitely Susie. Also, welcome Dionysus. How is life? How is everything going on? Did you watch Croatia play a match with Spain this Saturday? Was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday. We played a match against Spain. We did horribly. We lost 3-0. It was embarrassing to watch. But, yeah, we got the same score. So basically, brothers, fellow losers here in chat. Love seeing you around. Hope you dried off your tears. You know how we say it, right? We didn't want to have the first place in the group anyways. All right? This loss is irrelevant to us because we didn't want that place anyways. We're feeling completely fine. Very high on copium, as you can see. Very fucking high on copium. Doing the runs around coffee shops, hoping we'd win and I'd be able to grab some nice shots. But Kita, did you get some crying shots? Because I remember looking at, was it Index News? For part of the match, I was driving. I mean, I was the passenger, but in the process of driving. So I'm checking the news, and it was 0-0. And I'm checking the news, and it was 1-0, then it was 2-0. And when it was 2-0, I think it was specifically Index News that had the photo of that man crying. That was the funniest shit I've seen. Just all of a sudden, dude, like full Croatian gear crying there. I was like, yup. Not doing well. Not doing well at all. Not doing well in any sort of a way. We allow them to win though. I need you to be aware of that. We allow them to win. Alright, because Spain is a shit country. So we were like, yeah, alright. You can have this for happiness. You shit little people with shit little food. What do they eat? I don't know. Crap. We played versus Romania. I know, right? Better country than Spain is, really. Better country than Spain is. Fuck Spain. What peace deal is more realistic for all parties? You're talking about Russia and Ukraine? The realistic peace deal is... and when I say realistic, I mean peace deal actually resulting in peace, all right? The realistic peace is we evaporate every single Russian soldier in Ukraine. We get Trump himself here. He erects a fucking wall on the border with Russia. And that's just that. It stays like that. We don't touch the shithole. We don't go into it. We don't attack them. We erect a wall. And that's that. You want peace? That's how you get peace. And then we sanction the next, I want to say 10 generations of Russians. We just sanction every single one of them. Just take all of their money. Take all of their rubles. They don't need them. Now, I'm not sure Russians would be too happy with that. And also, I'm not sure NATO is going to be ready for that for a while, because the way they are moving is really, really, really fucking slow. So by the point we reach actual evaporation of Russian soldiers, it's going to be like 3 years down the line at this point. But yeah, that's the only way to do this. It's the only way to do this, nothing else. My friend is from Spain. Well, I hope your friend knows that he lives in a loser country full of losers, and they are shit at football. And I don't know, I hope football becomes illegal in Spain. I hope it becomes illegal. I hope they just start punishing football players. Like, I hope they start beating them up on the street. That's what I hope starts happening. Fuck Spain. They beat us so much, like 3-0. Embarrassing. We got 1 goal, and then it was taken away from us. 1 goal, and then they were like, no. You're grown-ass man kicking this little ball, moved into this area too quickly, so now this goal doesn't count. Who the fuck does that? People who like Spain. That's who. People who like Spain. No one else. Only Vlad Vexla? Oh, yeah, he can. Assuming Russian Federation will rebrand again. Oh, it definitely will. It's gonna rebrand, and then Merkel's gonna go back in power to sign like Nord Stream 3 with them. I'm feeling you're coming back. I am feeling you're coming back. Are you not? Slovakia beat Belgium.
What's a day in the life of Rebecca these days?
A day in life depends on the day, but
Fuck that, my dudes, though. Switzerland beat Hungary. Switzerland beat Hungary. The representative of global homo elites beat Hungary. Funniest shit ever. Funniest shit ever, alright? Man, Twitter videos are quiet as fuck for me. Why are Twitter videos quiet as fuck for me? Is there some sort of a problem? Is it quiet for you? Excuse my URL. Holy shit, that's a long one. The moment that goal was done. Oh my man. That's what she said. YouTube, I ain't making YouTube videos. I'm way too inconsistent. Like I'm barely on streams on time. I keep on starting multiple hobbies at the same time, and then I keep on trying to find work that would, allow me to have a better job than I have right now. I'm way too inconsistent. I ain't making content on more social platforms. I'm not fucking making Instagram content anymore. I'm not doing shit. Like sometimes I go to piss at work, and then I open my Twitter, and then I call someone a piece of shit. That's that. I ain't doing content. Germany will probably win. If Germany wins, I'm gonna be angry. Germany wins, I'm gonna be angry. Germany should be winning. No. I would be salty. Germany should not get a victory. Fuck that. This is the future liberals want. And ironically, yes. I'm gonna be one of these. I'm gonna be one of these. This one. Future that atheists want. I saved a post today. I have to show you a post. I don't know where it is, because my bookmarks are not loading properly. But I saved one on, fuck, where is it? Oh, here it is. AFD youth leader agreeing with an Islamist that women should be wearing less revealing clothing. AFD! Can you imagine? Fucking AFD! The actual goddamn neo-Nazis in the purest sense of the word, agreeing with Muslim immigrants in our countries that women should stop wearing revealing clothing and should instead be covered up. Imagine! Just beautiful. Beautiful. Just incredible to watch. Endless stream of beer and West. Those white sausages. I'm expecting that shit. Beer and white sausages. New fairy darling. This lady went viral by using a racial slur on TikTok video. Oh, have you seen Sneeko getting beaten the fuck up though? Talking about happy shit. Have you seen Sneeko getting his teeth knocked out? Cause I don't know if you've seen it, but my man, that's a wild video. Fuck, I'll have to show you the clip.
In 2016, the Kremlin didn't necessarily want Trump.
Sneeko's a little piece of shit.
They themselves fell for the main.
Sneeko's a little piece of shit. Sneeko's a little streamer, and he does debate sometimes. And his existence on the streaming space is useful, so other people would sound smarter. Basically, he's really dumb. I'm not even joking. He's like genuinely stupid. Watch his debates with Destiny. Like it's beautiful. It's like a stupid little child speaking to someone of normal intelligence. Don't be hating on my man, Thompson.
What do we do?
Don't be hating on my man, Thompson.
We don't have 4 hours, so this is what I want to say to you. As a fellow Western citizen, as a political philosopher, and as a minor public intellectual. Number one,
sorry, Vlad Vexel, I'm not giving you enough attention. I'm not giving you enough attention, and that feels bad. Is that a video? Have you seen that? Actually got his fucking teeth knocked out. I don't know if the video shows it. Yeah, man, that was a strong attack. Look at the man.
He's got this busted up tooth. Smile for me, man. This was the security guard at this thing, at this event, right up here. Right up here. We got this guy jumped off the stage. No one attacked this guy. Punched him.
Look at this. I don't know, I think because Sneeko's a little piece of shit. And I think basically what happened is online he's semi-famous, but I think he overestimated how much people give a shit about him in real life. So I think he thought it's going to be like, let me go and let me like poke people around, let me make fun of people, like I do on Twitter, you know, because why wouldn't I? And yeah, then he got fucking beat. Man, that was satisfying to watch. Also terrifying though, because the way that man jumps at him, holy shit. Oh yeah, I have no idea who that dude is. I don't, to be honest, the amount of care I have towards Nico is rather low. I have no idea who beat him the fuck up. Like, you guys want lore, you have to go somewhere else to lore. I'm just here to tell you that that was a satisfying video to watch, alright? That was satisfying to watch. I don't know who it was. I don't know what event it was, and I don't know what he was trying to do.
Let's not be Tucker Carlson.
He's a little live streamer dude, who cares?
Siren songs about how they're offering a civilizational alternative to a decaying West. When they say this, it's a blend of political technology and mystical obscurantism. Russia doesn't offer a truer alternative of conservative values. In fact, its main fault is that it is a hellscape of hyper-neoliberal values. Russia
No
does
fooling
not offer
phones,
an
Nico.
anti-colonial alternative to US hegemony. If you're worried about US imperialism, you should be worried about Russian imperialism more.
Isn't
because
beer
it
I'm
has
drinking.
nothing to
I'm
offer
drinking
except
Monster,
violence
unironically, it's a
and
restaurant.
mystical vision of
Drinking
Russia's
fucking Monster.
self-propulsion at the expense of the world.
My
Number
brother
two, let's
came
not
for a
allow
visit.
the Kremlin
My
to
brother
dictate
came for
the
a visit from
terms of
Germany.
debate in the West.
Brought
One
me
way of
a
helping
gift,
the Kremlin is to cede
which
to
is
them
a full
conceptual
bag
ground. The
of
Kremlin
energy
wants
drinks.
supporters of Ukraine to accuse each other
So
of being
yeah.
Russian sympathizers. So if you support Ukraine, but you're going around calling
If
everything
I get
you
a fucking
disagree
heart
with
attack.
a Russian narrative,
Would I
you
tell
may
you?
be helping Russian propaganda.
I'll be awake for 60
Number
hours.
three, let's not
Yeah, I have the thing. I
decontextualize
have the
what
thing, and I don't
fellow
know what's the
citizens
thing.
or experts or politicians say. When academic Smith says we
We're
need
like-
a better strategy because
Sorry, Vlad feels bad to not focus on him.